Imagine standing in front of a monument so ancient, its purpose defies everything we thought we knew about history. What if the mysteries hidden beneath our feet were far older, far more sophisticated than we've ever imagined? For centuries, archaeologists have unearthed artifacts, structures, and technologies that leave one question lingering in the air. How could they have known? From intricately carved stones to cryptic, untranslatable texts, every discovery pushes us to confront the limits of our understanding. Tonight, we delve deep into 3 hours of ancient enigma, where each discovery challenges the very foundations of science. Get ready. What you're about to witness may change everything. In the remote deserts of northern Mexico, just south of the United States border, lies a place that has captivated archaeologists and historians for centuries. Paquimé, or Casas Grandes, as it's sometimes called, is a sprawling ancient site that, despite its remarkable architecture and advanced infrastructure, remains shrouded in mystery. This city, with its towering adobe structures, subterranean chambers, and intricate water management systems, was once a thriving center of culture and trade. Yet its purpose, the reason for its rise, and the cause of its sudden decline, continue to elude us. The site's most striking feature is its complex network of multi-story dwellings, built from thick adobe brick, stretching across the valley floor like an ancient labyrinth. The walls, some up to 3 stories high, appear to have been designed not just for shelter, but for an entirely different kind of purpose. From the perfectly aligned windows that capture the sun at specific times of the year, to the sophisticated drainage systems that suggest a deep understanding of water flow and engineering, Paquimé's builders seem to know far more about their environment than one might expect for such an early civilization. But who were these people? The city flourished around 1000 AD, but by the time the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, it had been abandoned for centuries. What happened to its inhabitants? Why did they vanish so suddenly, leaving behind only cryptic remains? The mainstream archaeological theory suggests that Paquimé was a major center of the Mogollon culture, heavily influenced by the ancestral Puebloans of the American Southwest. It was a hub for trade, linking the cultures of Mesoamerica with those of the North. The evidence of goods such as copper bells, turquoise, and even exotic seashells indicate that Paquimé was far more than a local settlement. It was a crossroads for ancient peoples, a meeting point for distant cultures. Yet, there is a problem with this theory. Despite the advanced nature of Paquimé's architecture, no clear evidence of written language or records has been found. There are no inscriptions, no codices, no texts to explain the purpose of the site. The very silence surrounding its people invites speculation. Could there have been another, even more ancient civilization influencing Paquimé, one whose records were destroyed or lost to time? One of the most compelling aspects of Paquimé is its unusual layout. It is not a typical Mesoamerican city with plazas and pyramids, but rather a series of interconnected compounds, each with its own courtyard, surrounded by massive walls. Was this a place of refuge, or something more enigmatic? Some suggest that Paquimé could have been a religious or ceremonial center, its walls and chambers designed not just for living, but for rites that remain unknown. The precise alignment of certain buildings with celestial events adds weight to this theory, implying a people deeply connected to the cosmos. Yet the city's abrupt decline poses even more questions. Archaeologists know that Paquimé thrived for several hundred years, but by the late 1400s, the once bustling metropolis had fallen into ruin. Theories about its collapse are as varied as they are speculative. Some suggest that internal strife or warfare may have caused its downfall. Others propose that environmental factors, such as drought or soil degradation, could have made the area uninhabitable. But none of these explanations fully account for the sudden nature of Paquimé's abandonment. Could there have been another unknown force at work? Theories ranging from the arrival of a mysterious invader to the possibility of ritualistic abandonment have been suggested. Some even hint at the idea that the city was abandoned intentionally, as if its people had completed their purpose and chose to disappear for reasons we may never understand. As we stand at the edge of this forgotten place, one can't help but wonder, what secrets lie buried beneath the rubble of Qeiyafa? Was this simply a city, or something more? A sacred site, a lost civilization, or a mysterious enigma left behind for us to discover? The answers remain hidden, but one thing is certain. The story of Qeiyafa is far from over. The more we dig, the deeper the mystery grows. As we leave behind the mysteries of Qeiyafa, another enigma awaits our attention, one that stretches across the waters of time and place. Far from the deserts of the American Southwest, deep within the Horn of Africa, lies a forgotten port that was once the beating heart of an ancient maritime empire, Adulis. Located on the Red Sea coast, near the modern-day port city of Massawa in Eritrea, Adulis was a thriving center of trade and culture long before the great empires of the Mediterranean rose to prominence. Here, on this quiet stretch of shoreline, history tells us that bustling docks once welcomed ships from as far as India, Arabia, Egypt, and even the distant lands of the Roman Empire. Yet, despite its importance, the port has all but vanished from historical memory, and even the exact location of Adulis remains a mystery. What happened to this once prosperous city? How did it slip into obscurity, lost to the sands of time? Archaeologists have uncovered fragments of its past, pieces of pottery, ancient inscriptions, and remnants of harbors that speak to a once vibrant crossroads of civilizations. These findings point to a thriving culture, one that played a critical role in connecting the African continent with the greater world. The city's most significant role, however, was as the capital of the Kingdom of Aksum, one of the great powers of the ancient world. It was a kingdom whose influence stretched from the highlands of Ethiopia down to the Arabian Peninsula and even to the shores of Palestine. But as time passed, Adulis faded from the pages of history. The port's significance is undeniable. Historical records, including those of Greek and Roman writers, speak of Adulis as a place where merchants traded goods as varied as frankincense, myrrh, gold, and ivory. The city's strategic location at the crossroads of major maritime routes made it a key hub for both trade and cultural exchange. Yet, despite its documented prosperity, the details of Adulis's rise and fall remain elusive. What were the true reasons for its abandonment? Was it the gradual decline of the Aksumite kingdom itself, or was there a more sudden, catastrophic event that led to the port's demise? The mystery begins to deepen when one considers the sparse nature of written records. Unlike other ancient civilizations, the kingdom of Aksum left few surviving texts, and what we know of Adulis is largely gleaned from external sources, often vague and sometimes contradictory. One such account comes from the Greek historian Strabo, who described the port as a bustling center of commerce, but he did not provide many details about the city itself. And yet, despite the lack of first-hand accounts, clues abound. Ancient inscriptions in the Ge'ez script, the writing system of the Aksumite people, have been found near the ruins, suggesting that the people of Adulis were not only traders, but also possessors of a rich, complex culture, one that may have been far more advanced than initially thought. Among the artifacts uncovered are traces of early Christian symbolism, hinting that Adulis, like much of the Aksumite Empire, may have adopted Christianity as early as the 4th century A.D., centuries before it became the dominant religion in Europe. This offers a tantalizing glimpse into the cultural landscape of the city, one that was already deeply connected to the larger currents of the ancient world. But as we look closer, it becomes clear that Adulis was more than just a religious and cultural center. It was a key player in the geopolitical dynamics of the ancient Mediterranean and Africa. The city was mentioned in the correspondence between the Roman Emperor Justinian and the Aksumite rulers, underscoring its importance as a political and economic force. However, there are no definitive answers as to why Adulis disappeared. Some scholars point to the natural forces that might have contributed to its fall. The port was built along the Red Sea coast, where shifting tides and volcanic activity could have easily led to the destruction of the harbor. Could a catastrophic natural event, such as an earthquake or tsunami, have swallowed the city whole, erasing it from memory? Others speculate that the Aksumites themselves may have abandoned the city due to changing trade routes, a decline in maritime activity, or the rise of competing powers in the region. Yet there is another theory, one that invites us to look beyond the known and consider the possibility of something more mysterious. Some suggest that the fall of Adulis might have been the result of an internal collapse, a loss of purpose or vision. Did the people of Adulis retreat, leaving behind their once vibrant city to be reclaimed by the sea and desert? Or was it the consequence of political instability within the Aksumite kingdom, leading to the deliberate abandonment of the port? These questions remain open, and while much has been discovered, much remains lost beneath the shifting sands. In recent years, the search for Adulis has taken on a new urgency as archaeologists continue to piece together the fragments of this forgotten port. Yet, even with modern technology and new excavations, the exact location of the city remains uncertain. Some claim to have pinpointed its site based on the ancient descriptions and archaeological finds, while others remain unconvinced, suggesting that Adulis could lie deeper in the coastal hinterlands, hidden by centuries of erosion and neglect. Could there still be undiscovered sections of the city beneath the waters of the Red Sea or buried beneath the shifting sands of the desert? What secrets might still be locked away, waiting to reveal themselves? The story of Adulis is far from over. Like many ancient mysteries, it invites us to ask questions about the past, about the cultures that once inhabited these shores, and about the forces that shaped their destinies. With every new discovery, we are drawn deeper into the enigma of Adulis, a city that, though forgotten, still holds its secrets close. Will we ever uncover the truth behind its rise and fall? And if we do, what might we learn about the forgotten civilizations that once thrived at the crossroads of the ancient world? The waters of the Red Sea hold many mysteries. Perhaps one day they will give up their secrets. Until then, we are left to wonder, what else remains hidden beneath the surface? As we leave behind the ancient mysteries of the Red Sea, we now turn our gaze to the high Andes, where another enigma awaits, an imposing site nestled in the mountains of Bolivia, far from the reaches of modern civilization. The Acapana Pyramid, at the heart of the ancient city of Tiahuanaco, is an archaeological wonder that continues to perplex and fascinate scientists and historians alike. Rising out of the Andean plateau, this structure is not only a feat of engineering, but also a profound reminder of the lost civilizations that once inhabited this remote region. Standing amidst the desolate landscape, the Acapana Pyramid is an immense terraced structure, built from enormous stone blocks that seem almost impossibly precise. The stones are cut and arranged with such exactitude that not even a piece of paper can slip between them, a technique that continues to baffle researchers who struggle to understand how a civilization, with no known advanced tools, could have accomplished such a feat. And yet, this is only one of many questions surrounding Tiahuanaco. What drove the builders to construct such an imposing edifice in such a harsh, high-altitude environment? Why did they choose this particular location, perched on the edge of Lake Titicaca, one of the highest navigable bodies of water in the world? Mainstream archaeological consensus suggests that Tiahuanaco was a ceremonial and religious center of the ancient Tiwanaku civilization, which flourished between approximately 500 BC and 1000 AD. The city was a hub of political, economic, and cultural activity, influencing large parts of the Andean region. It was, without a doubt, an important center during its time, but what we know of Tiahuanaco is far from complete. Despite extensive excavations and research, the full scope of the civilization's achievements remains elusive. The Akapana pyramid itself presents a unique set of mysteries. Unlike other pyramids around the world, the structure is not simply a monolithic mass of stone. It is a carefully designed, multi-tiered monument, each level carefully crafted with massive stone blocks, each of which weighs several tons. Yet, no ramps or scaffolding have been found to suggest how the builders moved these enormous stones. It is believed that the stones were quarried from nearby quarries, but even so, the effort required to shape and transport these blocks would have been immense. How could a civilization so long ago, without the use of the wheel or complex machinery, have accomplished such a feat? Moreover, the purpose of the Akapana pyramid itself remains a subject of speculation. Was it a place of worship, a ceremonial center, or something entirely different? Some suggest that it may have served as an astronomical observatory, aligning with key celestial events such as solstices and equinoxes, though there is little evidence to support this theory. Others believe it could have been a tomb, a place where the rulers of Tiahuanaco were interred in accordance with elaborate rituals. And there are those who suggest that the pyramid was not just a physical structure, but also a symbolic one, an embodiment of the power of the civilization itself, designed to reflect the heavenly order of the cosmos. As we delve deeper into the heart of Tiahuanaco, we begin to uncover more curious details that further complicate the picture. One of the most intriguing features of the Akapana pyramid is a large stone basin which rests at the base of the structure. This basin, often referred to as the Fountain of Life, is carved from a single massive stone and features intricate, mysterious carvings. It is thought by some researchers to have been used in rituals involving water or offerings, though the exact purpose remains unclear. What is known, however, is that the basin's carving seems to suggest a deep understanding of fluid dynamics, an advanced knowledge of water management that would have been crucial for a civilization living in such a harsh, arid environment. The layout of the city, and of the pyramid itself, is also worth noting. The city of Tiahuanaco is arranged in a manner that suggests a highly organized and deliberate design. The streets and buildings follow a geometric pattern that may have been aligned with the stars, a reflection of the Tiwanaku people's profound connection to the cosmos. Could this alignment be coincidental, or was it the result of a deliberate effort to create a sacred space that mirrored the heavens above? Perhaps most strikingly, the Akapana pyramid is situated near the shores of Lake Titicaca, a location that holds deep cultural and religious significance for the Andean people. The lake was considered sacred by the Tiwanaku civilization, and many ancient myths speak of the gods descending from the waters of the lake. Could the pyramid have been built to honor these gods, or perhaps to harness some form of divine power believed to reside within the waters? Some fringe theories even suggest that the pyramid and the surrounding city were constructed with the intention of aligning the people with some hidden cosmic force, something far beyond our current understanding of ancient civilizations. Despite the intrigue surrounding Tiahuanaco and the Akapana pyramid, much of the story remains lost to time. Archaeologists and historians continue to debate the true purpose of the site and the identity of its creators. Some suggest that Tiahuanaco was a precursor to the more well-known Inca civilization, while others believe it was an entirely separate culture, one whose knowledge was passed down through the ages but ultimately forgotten. As we stand before the silent stones of the Akapana pyramid, we are left with more questions than answers. How did the Tiwanaku civilization manage to build such monumental structures in an environment that should have been inhospitable to large-scale construction? What knowledge did they possess that was lost to time? And perhaps most importantly, What remains hidden beneath the earth and waters of Lake Titicaca? Could there be more to discover, more to uncover, in this ancient city that seems to speak to us from the depths of history? The Acapana Pyramid is but one piece of the larger puzzle that is Tiahuanaco, a puzzle that, despite decades of research, remains tantalizingly incomplete. The mysteries of the site beckon us, urging us to look closer, to dig deeper, and to wonder what may still be concealed beneath its weathered stones. What truths remain buried, waiting for the right moment to emerge? Only time will tell. As we leave the heights of the Andean Plateau and descend into the Mediterranean's embrace, we find ourselves on a small, sun-drenched island, far from the bustling corridors of modern civilization. This is Menorca, one of the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain, where an ancient, mysterious civilization left behind structures that continue to puzzle and intrigue archaeologists today. The Torre d'en Galmes, a site teeming with taliots, stone towers that rise like silent sentinels against the backdrop of the island's rugged landscape, whispers secrets of a long-lost people who once thrived here. The taliots of Menorca are among the most iconic and enigmatic remains of the prehistoric civilization known as the Taliotic culture. These structures, which date back to between 1000 BC and 300 BC, are thought to have served a variety of functions, but the exact purpose remains elusive. Standing at the heart of Torre d'en Galmes, the largest and most prominent taliot on the island, we find ourselves looking up at a massive stone structure, its weathered surface bearing the marks of centuries of exposure to the elements. The taliot, built from large, carefully shaped stones, is an impressive feat of ancient engineering, yet it offers no clear explanation as to why or how it was built, or what it was meant to accomplish. The sheer scale of the taliots is striking. These towers, often constructed in a circular or beehive shape, are thought to have been used for a variety of purposes: watchtowers, storage facilities, or even religious sites. Yet, despite extensive research, none of these theories can fully account for the sheer complexity and mystery of these structures. The stones used in their construction are enormous, some weighing several tons, and the precision with which they were cut and stacked suggests an advanced knowledge of architecture and engineering. But how did the people of this small island, living in an era with limited resources and technology, manage to build such imposing structures? What drove them to create these massive monuments, and what role did they play in the social, political, and religious life of the Taliotic culture? The site of Torre d'en Galmes is not just home to the towering taliots. Scattered throughout the area are other remarkable features, including circular dwellings, subterranean chambers, and even a complex network of paths and courtyards. These remnants provide a glimpse into the daily life of the Taliotic people. Yet again, we find ourselves faced with more questions than answers. Why did they choose to build in this particular location, on the slopes of a hill overlooking the sea? What was the significance of the intricate layout, which seems to follow no conventional pattern? Could it be that Torre d'en Galmes was not just a settlement, but a site of deep spiritual or ritual significance, built with celestial alignments or other symbolic purposes in mind? Some scholars have suggested that the taliots served as watchtowers, designed to monitor the surrounding landscape and protect the people from external threats. Menorca, like much of the Mediterranean, was a region of frequent contact between different civilizations: Phoenicians, Carthaginians, and later, the Romans. The Taliotic culture may have needed to defend themselves from these powerful forces, and the taliots would have provided an excellent vantage point from which to survey the horizon. Yet, this theory raises its own questions. Why, then, would so many taliots be built across the island, many in locations that are difficult to defend or access? Could it be that these structures served a broader, more complex purpose? Other researchers have proposed that the taliots were used as storage facilities for grain, a means of safeguarding the island's food supply during times of scarcity. While this is plausible, it doesn't explain the elaborate nature of these structures or their position within the larger social framework of the Talayotic people. Why go to such lengths to construct monumental buildings for a purpose that could have been accomplished with simpler, smaller storage spaces? The sheer effort and resources that went into building the Talayots suggests that they were more than just utilitarian structures. They must have had some symbolic or ceremonial importance as well. Yet, even more speculative theories have emerged, suggesting that the Talayots may have been used for purposes we can scarcely imagine. Some believe that these towering structures were not just physical spaces, but metaphysical ones, a means of connecting the terrestrial world with the divine. Could the Talayots have served as sacred centers, designed to link the people with the gods or the forces of nature? In many ancient cultures, such monumental structures were constructed with the belief that they had the power to bridge the gap between the human and the divine. Perhaps the Talayotic people, in their own way, shared this belief. Then, there is the question of the people who built these remarkable structures. The Talayotic culture of Minorca was a sophisticated society with a well-developed understanding of architecture, astronomy, and agriculture. Yet, despite the impressive nature of their accomplishments, the Talayotic people left no written records behind. All that remains of their civilization are the stone structures they built, silent witnesses to a time long past. Who were these people? What drove them to create such extraordinary monuments? And, perhaps most importantly, why did their civilization eventually disappear? Theories abound, but no definitive answers have been found. Some suggest that the Talayotic people were absorbed by later cultures, such as the Phoenicians or the Romans, and that their unique way of life was gradually lost to time. Others point to environmental factors, drought, famine, or shifting trade routes, that may have caused the collapse of the Talayotic civilization. But there are those who wonder whether the Talayotic people simply chose to abandon their monumental structures and retreat from the world, leaving behind their legacy in stone, as a reminder of what once was. As we stand before the towering stones of Torre d'en Galmes, we are confronted with a profound mystery. These silent structures hold within them the secrets of a lost civilization, but the true purpose of the Talayots and the people who built them remains hidden. What drove the Talayotic people to create such monumental, enigmatic structures? And what might still be uncovered in the quiet, windswept hills of Minorca, where the stones stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten past? The answers, if they are to be found, are waiting just beneath the surface, hidden by time and silence, waiting to reveal their secrets to those who seek them. As the sun dips behind the rolling hills of Burgundy, France, a quiet, almost surreal landscape unfolds, one that bears witness to a civilization lost to time. Nestled at the foot of Mont Bouvray, the Bibracte Oppidum rises like a forgotten sentinel from the past. In the heart of what was once the expansive territory of the Celts, this ancient hilltop settlement offers a tantalizing glimpse into a world that existed more than 2,000 years ago, yet remains shrouded in mystery. The site itself is striking. Stretching over 100 hectares, Bibracte was, at its peak, one of the largest oppida of the late Iron Age in Gaul, a fortified settlement that served as the political, economic, and military center for the Aeduans, a powerful Celtic tribe. The oppidum's strategic location, perched atop a high, steep hill, offered its inhabitants a commanding view of the surrounding plains, a vantage point that would have been invaluable in a world where conflict and competition for resources were constant. Walking through the remains of Bibracte today, one can still see the faint outlines of its ancient walls, constructed from massive stone blocks and encircling the summit like the skeleton of a long-dead giant. Some sections of these walls, though weathered and crumbling, still stand proudly, providing an eerie connection to the past. In some places, remnants of the wooden palisades that once lined the ramparts can still be discerned, suggesting that the fortifications were not just stone, but a combination of materials, offering both strength and flexibility. The city was not just a fortress, it was a thriving urban center. Archaeological excavations have uncovered evidence of extensive trade, including pottery, jewelry, and metalwork, much of which shows clear connections to other parts of Europe, including the Mediterranean. Some of the most intriguing artifacts suggest that the Aeduans had access to advanced knowledge, particularly in metallurgy, long before the Romans arrived. Iron tools, bronze weapons, and even coins, though rare in pre-Roman Gaul, have been unearthed in Bibracte's market areas, painting a picture of a prosperous and cosmopolitan society. Yet, despite these discoveries, much of the city's social and cultural structure remains speculative. How did the Aeduans maintain such a complex society, and what role did Bibracte play in their larger political struggles? The most famous historical event associated with Bibracte occurred in 58 BC, when Julius Caesar and his legions clashed with the Aeduan forces in the midst of the Gallic Wars. According to Caesar's own writings, Bibracte was the site of a major confrontation between the Roman legions and the united Celtic tribes, led by the Aeduans. After a fierce battle, Caesar claimed victory, and Bibracte was essentially absorbed into the Roman sphere of influence. The event marked the beginning of the end for the independence of the Gallic tribes and the eventual Roman conquest of Gaul. Yet, while the historical records of Caesar's campaign provide some insight into the site's fate, they leave many questions unanswered. What happened to Bibracte after its conquest? While many sites of Roman conquest in Gaul show clear evidence of Romanization, Bibracte remains an enigma. Excavations reveal little about how the settlement transitioned from its Celtic roots to Roman control. Did it simply fade into obscurity, as many smaller oppida did under Roman rule, or did it retain some degree of importance throughout the Roman period? If it remained active, what role did it play in the Romanized landscape of Gaul? Even more tantalizing are the unanswered questions about Bibracte's earlier history. The settlement flourished long before the Roman conquest, yet much of its early period remains a mystery. How did the Aeduans build such an impressive fortified city on the top of Mont Bouvray? What was the political and cultural structure that supported such an advanced settlement? The sheer scale of the fortifications suggests that Bibracte was not just a small tribal center, but a highly organized city with a significant population. However, there is little evidence to suggest how the society was structured. Was it a centralized monarchy, a loose confederation of tribes, or something else entirely? How did the Aeduans govern, and what did their society look like in terms of social hierarchy, religion, and daily life? The most intriguing and mysterious aspect of Bibracte, however, is its connection to the wider Celtic world. Though the Aeduans were part of the Gallic tribes, they maintained a unique position in relation to other Celtic cultures, particularly in terms of their interactions with the Romans. The discovery of Roman-style coins, as well as Mediterranean imports, suggests that Bibracte was not just a local center, but a hub of far-reaching trade networks. Yet, the lack of a large-scale settlement of Roman-style architecture, even after the conquest, raises the question: did Bibracte serve as a symbolic resistance to Roman influence? Or was it simply that, like many other Celtic oppida, it was slowly absorbed into the broader Roman framework, its distinct identity fading into history? Bibracte also holds mysteries in its less conventional features. The layout of the city, as excavated, reveals a striking irregularity in its street plan. While some sections of the settlement show clear evidence of planned streets and urban design, other parts appear chaotic and unsystematic. Was this an intentional design choice, perhaps reflecting the more fluid and dynamic nature of Celtic society, or was it a product of gradual, ad hoc growth over time? In contrast to the rigid, gridded cities of the Romans, Bibracte's urban sprawl seems to mirror a more organic, evolving approach to city building. Equally mysterious are the religious and ceremonial aspects of the site. Scattered throughout the settlement are altars, sacrifices, and other signs of ritual activity. Yet, despite the abundance of these sacred spaces, little is known about the belief systems of the Aeduans. The presence of stone carvings and depictions of animals and mythical creatures suggests that they may have had a rich and complex pantheon of gods, but these rituals are largely unexplained. Did the Aeduans practice a religion tied to their natural surroundings, or were they influenced by other, distant cultures? Could the religious practices at Bibracte have played a role in the city's political structure, perhaps serving to legitimize its rulers or unite its people? Though much has been discovered at Bibracte, it is clear that the site still holds many secrets. The city's political, social, and cultural fabric remains largely speculative, and its final years, following Caesar's victory, are left only to conjecture. The unanswered questions of Bibracte's rise, its role in the broader Celtic world, and its eventual fate continue to linger, leaving us with more puzzles than answers. What was it about this site that made it so important to the Aeduans? Why did it stand as a symbol of their power and resilience? And what might be hidden beneath the soil of Montbouvray, waiting for future generations to uncover? The answers, for now, remain elusive. But as with so many ancient mysteries, Bibracte calls us to look deeper, to search for clues and connections that have yet to reveal themselves fully. The story of Bibracte is far from over. It is a story that still unfolds, piece by piece, as the landscape around Montbouvray continues to yield new discoveries, and as we continue to ask, what else might be waiting to be uncovered? As we leave behind the ancient ruins of Bibracte and continue our journey through time, we now find ourselves in a remote and arid corner of the Arabian Peninsula in the Sultanate of Oman. Here, beneath the rocky expanse of the desert, lies a hidden world, a world of subterranean tombs that have lain undisturbed for millennia. The Al-Qutum underground tombs, located in the Dhofar region, are among the most enigmatic and fascinating archaeological sites in the Middle East. Carved into the earth itself, these ancient tombs provide a glimpse into a civilization that has long since faded from history, yet their purpose and the people who built them remain shrouded in mystery. The tombs of Al-Qutum are remarkable for their design and construction. Unlike most burial sites, which are found above ground or in simple pits, these tombs are entirely subterranean. Each tomb is a complex network of chambers and corridors, hewn from the solid rock beneath the desert floor. The layout is both intricate and deliberate, suggesting a highly organized society with advanced architectural skills. The tombs are connected by narrow passageways, leading to central burial chambers where the remains of the deceased were placed. Many of the tombs are also equipped with elaborate stone structures, some featuring niches and shelves that likely held offerings, tools, or ceremonial items. What makes the Al-Qutum tombs even more intriguing is their age. Carbon dating suggests that the tombs date back to around 3000 BC, making them more than 5,000 years old. Yet, despite their ancient origins, these tombs remain surprisingly well preserved, suggesting that they were built with a level of craftsmanship and knowledge that seems ahead of its time. The tombs are constructed with such precision that even the most advanced tools available today would struggle to replicate the accuracy of the stonework. The fact that these tombs have withstood the harsh conditions of the desert for so long only deepens the mystery of their construction. The people who built these tombs remain largely unknown. Some scholars suggest that they were part of the early Bronze Age civilizations of the Arabian Peninsula, possibly linked to the al-Nar culture, a group known for their impressive burial practices and trade networks that spanned across the Arabian Gulf. The al-Nar people, who lived between 2600 BC and 2000 BC, are believed to have had a sophisticated understanding of metallurgy and craftsmanship. Yet, there are no definitive records that link the tombs at Al-Qutum to the al-Nar culture, leaving many unanswered questions about their creators. One of the most striking features of the Al-Qutum tombs is their apparent isolation. Unlike other ancient burial sites, which are often found near settlements or in areas of active trade, these tombs seem to exist in a relatively remote part of the desert. The surrounding landscape is sparse, with little evidence of large-scale habitation or agricultural activity. This has led some to speculate that the tombs were not merely the final resting places of the dead, but also had a ceremonial or symbolic function. Were they built as a statement of power, a way for a ruling class to assert their dominance over the land? Or were they designed as part of a larger ritual or religious practice that tied the dead to the land in some metaphysical way? The construction of these subterranean tombs raises another question. How were such complex burial sites built with the tools available at the time? The tombs are carved deep into solid rock, and the precision with which the chambers and corridors are cut suggests a sophisticated understanding of both architecture and engineering. Yet there is no evidence of advanced tools, such as metal chisels or drilling devices, that would have been required to accomplish such feats. This has led some researchers to propose alternative theories about the methods used to carve these tombs. Could they have been built using a lost technology, one that has since been forgotten or lost to time? Or could the builders have had access to tools and techniques that are yet to be discovered by modern archaeology? The use of the tombs also remains a subject of speculation. Were these tombs intended solely for the burial of elite individuals, or were they communal burial sites used by entire families or clans? The presence of multiple burial chambers within each tomb suggests that the tombs may have been used for several generations, raising the possibility that these tombs were more than just places for the dead, but also served as a symbolic center for the living. Perhaps they were places of worship or ancestral veneration, where the living would come to honor their deceased forebears and seek guidance from their spirits. Adding to the mystery are the artifacts found within the tombs. While much of the burial material has decayed or been looted over the centuries, archaeologists have uncovered remnants of pottery, beads, and tools. Some of these items appear to have been imported from distant regions, suggesting that the people who built and used the tombs were part of a larger trade network that spanned the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. The presence of these foreign goods raises further questions. What was the extent of this ancient civilization's connections? Did they have contact with the cultures of Mesopotamia or the Indus Valley, as some evidence suggests? Or were they a more insular society, with trade and cultural exchange occurring on a smaller scale? One of the most fascinating and enigmatic aspects of the Al-Qutum tombs is their location. Carved deep into the desert floor, the tombs seem almost to emerge from the earth itself, as though they were always meant to be part of the landscape. The tombs are positioned in such a way that they align with certain celestial events, leading some researchers to speculate that the site may have had an astronomical or ritualistic significance. Could the tombs have been designed to reflect the movement of the stars or the sun, perhaps marking the passage of time or significant moments in the annual cycle? The fact that the tombs are so precisely aligned with the natural world only deepens the mystery of their purpose. As we stand at the threshold of these ancient tombs, one cannot help but wonder about the people who built them. What drove them to carve such intricate burial sites into the desert rock? Was it the belief in an afterlife, a desire to honor their ancestors, or something more profound, something we have yet to understand? And why did they choose to build these tombs in such a remote and isolated location, far from the bustling centers of trade and culture? The Al-Qutum underground tombs remain a profound mystery, one that continues to challenge our understanding of the ancient world. While the tombs offer a glimpse into a long-lost civilization, they also raise more questions than they answer. What secrets lie buried within their stone chambers? And what else remains hidden beneath the shifting sands of the desert, waiting to be uncovered? Only time and continued exploration will reveal the answers. Until then, the tombs of Al-Qutum stand as silent sentinels, guarding their secrets and inviting us to look deeper into the past. As we leave behind the ancient desert tombs of Al-Qutum, we now turn our attention to a far more mysterious site, one that stretches back to a time long before written history took shape. On the islands of Japan, hidden among lush forests and rolling hills, lies a collection of enigmatic stone circles that continue to puzzle archaeologists and historians alike. These are the Jomon stone circles, the remnants of a prehistoric civilization whose understanding of the world and the forces that shaped it remains elusive. The stone circles are scattered across Japan, with the most famous site being located in the northern region of Hokkaido. Here, in the remote corners of the island, the stones form geometric patterns that seem to echo the ancient cultures of Europe and the British Isles. However, unlike the stone circles of Stonehenge or those in the Mediterranean, the Jomon stone circles are far older, dating back over 5,000 years, to a time known as the Jomon period, around 3000 BC to 1000 BC. This was a time when the Jomon people, hunter-gatherers with a sophisticated knowledge of the natural world, lived in relative isolation on the islands of Japan. They created pottery of remarkable beauty and complexity, yet left behind few written records of their lives, making the stone circles even more enigmatic. The stones themselves are not monumental in size, but their arrangement is striking. At some sites, the stones form concentric circles, while at others, the stones seem to align in straight lines or curving arcs, suggesting a deliberate design. These patterns often appear to follow the natural contours of the land, as though they are in harmony with the surrounding landscape. Some of the stones are small, while others are much larger, with their sizes varying across the sites. Yet, despite the apparent simplicity of the formations, there is a profound sense of purpose in their arrangement, as if these stones were placed for a reason that we have yet to understand. What makes the Jomon stone circles so captivating is not just their age, but their location. They are found in remote and often difficult-to-reach places, deep in forests, on the edges of rivers, and in locations far removed from the agricultural hubs of ancient Japan. This isolation raises an important question. Why would the Jomon people choose to construct these stone formations in such secluded areas? Were they markers of sacred ground, or did they serve a more practical purpose, such as tracking celestial events or seasonal changes? Or could they have been part of a larger ritual or religious system, the meaning of which has been lost to history? To understand the significance of these stone circles, it is important to look at the people who built them. The Jomon period was characterized by a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Yet the people of this era also exhibited a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate. They developed one of the earliest known forms of pottery, using a technique that involved coiling clay and firing it at low temperatures. Their pottery was decorated with intricate designs, some of which are believed to have had symbolic or ritual significance. The Jomon people also had a deep connection to the natural world, which they expressed through their art, their myths, and perhaps their stone circles. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Jomon stone circles is the possibility that they were used to track celestial bodies, stars, the moon, and the sun. Some researchers have suggested that the arrangements of the stones correspond to celestial alignments, similar to the way ancient cultures in Europe used stone circles to mark solstices and equinoxes. Could the Jomon people have been using these stones to observe the movements of the stars and planets? Could these stone formations have been used in rituals tied to the changing seasons or the agricultural cycle, even though the Jomon people did not practice large-scale farming? The answer is not yet clear, but the connection between the stone circles and the stars is a tantalizing possibility. The alignment of the stones with natural features, such as rivers and mountain ridges, adds another layer of mystery. Some circles appear to be deliberately positioned in such a way that they interact with the surrounding landscape, almost as though they were meant to communicate with the earth itself. Was this a symbolic connection between the people and the land they lived on? Or did the placement of the stones reflect a deeper, cosmological understanding of the universe? Perhaps the Jomon people saw their world as a microcosm of the larger cosmos, and the stone circles were a way to bring those two realms into alignment. Despite the many theories, there is still little definitive evidence to explain the exact purpose of the Jomon stone circles. Some archaeologists have suggested that they may have been used for ceremonial purposes, perhaps to mark important rituals or events in the lives of the Jomon people. The fact that many of the stone circles are located near settlements or burial sites lends some credence to this idea. Could the stones have served as markers for sacred spaces, or were they perhaps part of a larger ritual landscape designed to connect the living with the ancestors or with the divine? Other researchers have speculated that the Jomon stone circles might have been used as territorial markers, demarcating the boundaries of different tribes or clans. Given the relatively small scale of Jomon society, it is possible that these stone formations played a role in maintaining social order, marking boundaries that separated one group from another. The stones may have also served as memorials, commemorating the lives of notable individuals or groups within Jomon society. But again, the evidence for this theory is inconclusive, and the true purpose of the circles remains uncertain. Yet, what is perhaps most compelling about the Jomon stone circles is the way they stand as a testament to the intellectual and cultural achievements of the Jomon people. Even without a written language, they were able to create lasting monuments that have withstood the passage of millennia. The precision with which these stones were placed, and the thought that must have gone into their design, suggests a level of sophistication that challenges our understanding of prehistoric cultures. Could it be that the Jomon people possessed knowledge and insight that we are only now beginning to comprehend? What secrets might these ancient stone circles still be hiding, waiting to be uncovered by future generations of archaeologists and historians? As we stand before the Jomon stone circles, the air thick with the weight of centuries, we are reminded of the deep connection between people and place, between the living and the world around them. The stones remain silent, their purpose lost in the mists of time, yet they continue to speak to us, inviting us to look deeper, to ask questions, and to wonder about the people who created them. What might they have believed? What did they seek to communicate with these stones? And what truths, if any, remain buried beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? The mystery of the Jomon stone circles is far from over, and the answers may still be hidden, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. As we leave the distant shores of Japan behind and return to the familiar yet equally mysterious landscapes of Europe, we find ourselves in the rolling hills of Anglesey, off the coast of Wales. Here, nestled in a quiet corner of this ancient island, lies one of the most intriguing prehistoric sites in the British Isles, the Bryn Celli Passage tomb. Hidden beneath the earth and surrounded by the rich green tapestry of the Welsh countryside, this ancient monument stands as a silent testament to a people whose beliefs and knowledge have long since faded from the world. Bryn Celli, whose name translates to the mound in the dark grove, is a striking structure, one that captures the imagination with its eerie, otherworldly presence. The passage tomb consists of a circular burial chamber, surrounded by a low mound of earth and stone. The tomb itself is not especially large, but its significance lies in the careful craftsmanship of its construction and the mystery that surrounds its purpose. The burial chamber is accessed via a narrow passageway, aligned with remarkable precision to the solar cycle, leading scholars to wonder if its creators were more than simple farmers, but rather skilled astronomers who used the tomb for purposes beyond burial. What makes Bryn Celli particularly fascinating is the way it invites the elements of time and space to interact. The passage is oriented so that, on the summer solstice, the first rays of the sun illuminate the inner sanctum of the tomb, casting long shadows and bathing the chamber in light. This alignment is far from incidental. It suggests a deep, almost reverent understanding of the movements of the sun, the cycles of the seasons, and the power of celestial events. But what was the true significance of this alignment? Was it purely ceremonial, or did it have a deeper, more profound connection to the beliefs of the people who built it? The tomb itself is thought to date back to around 3000 BC, during the Neolithic period, a time when the people of the British Isles were transitioning from a nomadic, hunter-gatherer lifestyle to settled farming communities. This was a time of profound cultural and technological change, and the construction of monuments like Bryn speaks to the growing complexity of society. The people who built this tomb would have been deeply connected to the land and the natural cycles that governed their lives. Yet, the precision with which they constructed the tomb, particularly its solar alignment, suggests a level of sophistication that we might not expect from a society still in the early stages of agricultural development. Inside the tomb, archaeologists have discovered numerous artifacts, including pottery, flint tools, and the remains of animals, all of which suggest that the site was not just a burial place, but also a ceremonial space. Some of these objects appear to have been deliberately placed within the tomb, possibly as offerings or to accompany the deceased on their journey into the afterlife. The presence of these artifacts raises an important question. Were the tomb's creators following a complex set of rituals tied to death and rebirth, or was the tomb part of a larger system of beliefs about the cosmos, the afterlife, and the role of the sun in the cycle of life? The exact purpose of Bryn remains elusive. While it is widely accepted that the tomb was used for burial, its alignment with the solstices and the presence of ceremonial objects suggest that it may have also been a site of worship or ritual. Some scholars believe that the tomb may have been used for ancestor worship, with the tomb serving as a place where the living could connect with their ancestors. The idea of a spiritual connection between the living and the dead is a common theme in many ancient cultures, and it's possible that the people who built Bryn saw the tomb not only as a resting place for the dead, but also as a bridge between the two worlds. The alignment of the passage with the sun raises even more questions. While we know that many ancient cultures built monuments with solar alignments, such as Stonehenge in England or the pyramids of Egypt, the purpose of these alignments often remains a subject of debate. Some archaeologists suggest that the alignment at Bryn was purely practical, used to mark the passage of time and help the people of the Neolithic period keep track of the seasons. But others speculate that the solar alignment had a more symbolic meaning, representing the cycle of life and death, the death of winter, and the rebirth of summer. In this way, the tomb might have served not just as a burial site, but as a ritual space where the people could celebrate the turning of the seasons, the eternal return of the sun, and the cyclical nature of life. The question of what exactly the tomb's creators believed and how those beliefs shaped their lives remains unanswered. Some researchers have suggested that Bryn could have been part of a larger network of monuments and sacred sites, perhaps forming a kind of ritual landscape across the island of Anglesey and beyond. The people who built the tomb were certainly not isolated. They would have had contact with other Neolithic groups, and it is possible that the solar alignments, burial practices, and ceremonial rituals seen at Bryn were shared with other cultures. Were the builders of Bryn part of a larger tradition of solar worship, or were they following a unique set of beliefs? If so, what was the source of their knowledge about the cycles of the sun, and how did they transmit it across generations? There is also the tantalizing possibility that the tomb at Bryn was built to serve as a kind of astronomical observatory, allowing its creators to track not only the passage of the seasons, but also the movement of the stars and planets. In the absence of written records, we can only speculate about how the people of the Neolithic period might have understood the cosmos. Yet the precision of the tomb's alignment and the fact that it was built to highlight specific moments in the solar year suggests that the builders had a deep and sophisticated understanding of the natural world. But as with so many ancient sites, the true meaning and purpose of Bryn Celli remains a mystery. The tomb, though well preserved and carefully studied, holds its secrets tightly. Was it a place of worship, a tomb, a symbol of the cycle of life and death, or something entirely different? We may never know for certain. As we stand before this ancient monument, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, we are left with more questions than answers. Bryn Celli is more than just a tomb. It is a doorway into a time long past, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead, the known and the unknown, seem to blur. What knowledge did the builders of this tomb possess, and what did they seek to communicate through the alignment of stone and sun? What rituals did they perform within its walls, and what truths did they believe they could unlock through their connection to the stars and the earth? The answers to these questions may remain hidden, buried beneath the earth and the passage of time. But Bryn Celli stands as a reminder that, even in the silence of the past, the mysteries of the ancient world continue to speak to us. The tomb's secrets remain waiting to be uncovered, inviting us to look deeper, to listen more carefully, and to wonder what other ancient truths might still be hidden beneath the surface of the earth. As we shift from the ancient stone tombs of Wales to a dramatically different part of the world, we now find ourselves in the heart of West Africa, where the Bandiagara escarpment rises like a monumental wall against the vast expanse of the Sahel. This rugged and arid landscape is home to one of the most remarkable and mysterious architectural feats of the ancient world: the structures carved into the cliffs of the escarpment. A place where stone meets sky, these hidden dwellings are both awe-inspiring and perplexing, standing as silent witnesses to a culture that has thrived in this unforgiving environment for thousands of years. The Bandiagara escarpment, located in the present-day country of Mali, stretches over 150 kilometers, offering both breathtaking views and an extraordinary historical landscape. Towering cliffs, eroded by millennia of wind and rain, give way to a labyrinth of caves and niches in the rock. In these spaces, the Dogon people, one of the oldest and most fascinating cultures of West Africa, carved their homes, religious sites, and burial chambers into the very bones of the earth. These cliffside dwellings, built over 1,000 years ago, remain an awe-inspiring testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the people who made them their own. From a distance, the Bandiagara escarpment seems almost like a fortress, its steep rock faces serving as natural defenses against invaders. The dwellings themselves are often built into the cliffs at seemingly impossible angles, with rooms and courtyards carved into the rock and connected by narrow, winding passageways. The construction is incredibly precise, with many of the structures appearing to have been shaped to fit seamlessly into the landscape, as though they were always meant to be part of the escarpment. These dwellings are often constructed with a combination of mud bricks and stone, materials that have withstood the test of time, despite the harsh conditions of the desert. Yet, despite the impressive craftsmanship of the structures, little is known about their exact purpose. While it is generally accepted that the Dogon people built these cliffside dwellings for defensive and residential purposes, there is much more to the story. Why did the Dogon choose to build their homes in such inaccessible locations, high on the cliffs, rather than in the more fertile plains below? Was it simply a matter of defense? Or were these cliffside dwellings intended to serve a deeper, spiritual, or ritualistic purpose? The mystery deepens when we consider the possibility that the Dogon were not the only people to inhabit this land. Archaeological evidence suggests that earlier civilizations, long lost to history, may have inhabited the same region, leaving behind traces of their existence within the cliffs. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Bandiagara escarpment structures is their connection to the Dogon people's complex belief system. The Dogon are well known for their rich cosmology, which includes a belief in a distant star called Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye. According to Dogon mythology, their ancestors were visited by beings from the Sirius star system, beings who imparted advanced knowledge to the Dogon people, including astronomical insights that were far ahead of their time. This knowledge, passed down through generations, is a central part of their religious and cultural identity. The fact that the Dogon were able to accurately describe the existence of Sirius B, a white dwarf star that is not visible without a telescope, has baffled scientists for decades. Could the mysterious structures of the Bandiagara escarpment be tied to this ancient astronomical knowledge? Were they built in alignment with celestial events, as so many other ancient structures were? Some researchers have suggested that the positioning of certain structures on the escarpment could have been intended to serve as observatories or ritual sites tied to the Dogon's understanding of the heavens. The Dogon have a long history of tracking the stars and constellations, and it is possible that these cliffside dwellings were constructed with a deep knowledge of the stars' movements. Did the Dogon believe that their celestial ancestors, those visitors from the Sirius system, would one day return? Was the construction of the Bandiagara structures part of a larger ritual designed to honor the gods and ensure their protection in the afterlife? While the exact purpose of these cliffside dwellings remains a mystery, the possibility that they were linked to the Dogon's unique cosmology is an intriguing one. Further adding to the mystery of the Bandiagara escarpment is the question of how the Dogon people managed to construct such impressive structures in such a remote and challenging environment. The escarpment is not only physically difficult to access, but is also located in an area with extreme temperature variations, from scorching heat during the day to freezing cold at night. The labor involved in building these structures, often using simple tools, would have been immense. And yet, the Dogon did not rely on external forces or technologies to aid in the construction. The way they carved and shaped the rock suggests an intimate understanding of their environment, as well as advanced engineering techniques that may have been lost over time. The Dogon people's history is marked by a deep sense of mystery and speculation. Some scholars have even proposed theories suggesting that the Dogon may have had contact with ancient cultures outside of Africa, particularly the Egyptians, due to the similarities in their cosmological beliefs and architectural designs. While there is no concrete evidence to support such claims, the alignment between the Dogon's knowledge of the stars and their ability to construct these elaborate structures so intricately connected to their environment raises intriguing questions about the exchange of knowledge in the ancient world. Another layer of intrigue surrounds the purpose of the vast network of cave systems and burial chambers carved into the escarpment. Some of the most impressive and well-preserved structures on the Bandiagara escarpment are the burial sites, where the remains of Dogon ancestors have been placed in tombs nestled into the rock face. These burial chambers, carefully constructed and often decorated with ritual symbols, suggest that the escarpment had a spiritual significance that went far beyond its use as a defensive stronghold. Were these tombs simply for the dead, or did they serve as places for the living to commune with their ancestors, a way to bridge the gap between the earthly and the divine? The mystery surrounding the Bandiagara escarpment structures is as vast and ancient as the landscape itself. The knowledge embedded in these cliffs, knowledge of the stars, of the land, and of life and death, is a legacy that continues to puzzle researchers. And while many theories have been proposed, none can fully explain the scale, the precision, or the spiritual significance of these cliffside dwellings. As we contemplate the grandeur and mystery of the Bandiagara escarpment, we are reminded of the complexity of the ancient world and the depth of human ingenuity. What was the true purpose behind these ancient structures? Were they built simply for protection and utility, or did they serve as symbols of a deeper, more profound connection to the cosmos and the divine? The answers to these questions remain hidden within the cliffs, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. Until then, the Bandiagara escarpment stands as an enduring testament to the people who once called it home, guarding its secrets in the quiet, unwavering stillness of the desert. As we continue our journey across the ancient world, we now find ourselves in the heart of Central Asia, where the winds of time have carried whispers of a lost civilization buried beneath the sands of the Tajikistan plateau. In the arid terrain of the Zarafshan Valley, near the modern border of Uzbekistan, lie the architectural remains of a site known as Sarazm, an ancient city that predates even the great civilizations of Mesopotamia, and whose purpose and people remain largely a mystery. Sarazm, discovered in the late 20th century, is one of the most significant archaeological finds in the region, yet much about it still eludes even the most seasoned scholars. The site dates back to around 3000 BC, during the Bronze Age, and is thought to have been a thriving urban center, bustling with commerce, culture, and perhaps even spirituality. What makes Sarazm unique is not only its age, but its complexity. The city's layout is far more advanced than would be expected for a civilization at this time. Its streets were carefully planned, and its buildings were constructed using advanced techniques that suggest a deep understanding of engineering and urban planning. The sheer size and scale of the site hint at a sophisticated society with the ability to organize large-scale infrastructure projects. But who were the people who built Sarazm, and why has it remained largely forgotten for so long? The architectural remains of Sarazm are a testament to the ingenuity of its builders. Stretched across a vast area of land, the ruins include the foundations of large buildings, some of which appear to have been used for ceremonial or communal purposes. The most striking feature of the site is its well-structured urban design, with streets laid out in a grid pattern, a feature more commonly associated with ancient civilizations like those in the Indus Valley or Egypt. This careful urban planning suggests that the people of Sarazm had a profound understanding of spatial organization, possibly influenced by earlier cultures or ideas from distant lands. This is especially intriguing, as it challenges the notion that early Bronze Age civilizations were exclusively limited to the well-known centers of Mesopotamia, the Nile Valley, or the Indus Valley. Beyond the urban planning, the site is rich with artifacts that offer a glimpse into the daily lives of the people who lived there. Pottery fragments, tools, jewelry, and even remnants of clothing have been uncovered, many of which show influences from various surrounding cultures. There is evidence of trade networks that spanned across Central Asia, connecting Sarazm with regions as far away as the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia. The people of Sarazm had access to materials that were not locally available, including metals, stones, and textiles, which suggests that they were not only skilled artisans, but also active participants in the global economy of the ancient world. But how did they manage to integrate into these far-reaching trade routes? And what did this exchange of goods and ideas mean for their society? Sarazm's location is another element that deepens the mystery. Situated on the banks of a river and surrounded by fertile land, the city appears to have been strategically placed to take advantage of the region's natural resources. Yet the region is also home to extreme climatic conditions, ranging from scorching summers to harsh winters. The construction techniques used at Sarazm show an understanding of the local environment, with buildings designed to cope with the region's temperature extremes and to harness natural resources like water and sunlight. Was the settlement constructed with an understanding of sustainable living? Or could the placement of the city and its layout have had more spiritual or symbolic significance, perhaps tied to ancient cosmological beliefs? Perhaps one of the most perplexing aspects of Sarazm is its apparent abandonment. By around 2000 BC, the site was mysteriously deserted, and the people who once thrived there vanished, leaving little trace of their ultimate fate. What happened to the inhabitants of Sarazm? Was it a result of environmental change, a natural disaster, or something more human? Warfare, invasion, or internal collapse? The answers to these questions remain unclear, but the fact that the site was abandoned so suddenly raises the possibility that the people of Sarazm were forced to leave their city in haste. This is particularly intriguing considering the advanced state of their society at the time. Could it be that a civilization capable of such sophisticated urban planning and long-distance trade was suddenly brought to an end by forces beyond their control? Or could there be a more mysterious explanation lurking beneath the surface? Adding to the mystery is the possibility that the city of Sarazm may have been connected to other ancient cultures and sites in the region. The area around the Zarafshan Valley is rich with archaeological treasures, including other ancient cities and settlements, some of which share similar architectural and cultural traits with Sarazm. Could Sarazm have been part of a larger, forgotten civilization, one that spanned across much of Central Asia, from the Caspian Sea to the mountains of the Hindu Kush? Or was it simply an isolated center of trade and culture, cut off from the world as the landscape around it shifted and changed over time? And what role, if any, did the site play in the larger historical narrative of the ancient Near East? The artifacts found at Sarazm provide tantalizing clues, but they also raise more questions than answers. Jewelry and tools suggest a society of artisans and traders, while the pottery and figurines offer hints of religious or spiritual beliefs, but no written records have been found. The absence of a written language is one of the most frustrating aspects of Sarazm. While the site seems to have flourished for centuries, its people left no inscriptions, no documents to explain their history, beliefs, or eventual disappearance. This lack of written evidence challenges our ability to fully understand the civilization, forcing us to rely on what we can glean from the material remains. Could the lack of written records point to the possibility that Sarazm was part of a much older tradition? One that did not rely on written language as we know it, but perhaps communicated in ways we have yet to understand? Could the knowledge and wisdom of the Sarazm people have been passed down through oral traditions, or even encoded in the design of their architecture and city layout? Some scholars have speculated that the city may have been a site for rituals or spiritual practices that were not intended to be written down, but instead were encoded in the very fabric of the city itself. Perhaps the city was meant to be experienced and understood through its physical form, with its streets, buildings, and spaces serving as symbols of cosmological principles or ancestral connections. As we stand at the edge of the ancient city of Sarazm, the silence around us speaks volumes. The wind sweeps across the landscape, and the remains of buildings stretch out before us, each stone and structure holding a story we may never fully uncover. The fate of the people who once lived here is lost to time, but the site remains, a monument to a forgotten civilization whose knowledge, culture, and accomplishments continue to inspire wonder and curiosity. What drove the people of Sarazm to build such an advanced and intricate city in the first place? Why did they abandon it so abruptly, and what was the ultimate cause of their disappearance? And perhaps most importantly, what knowledge did they hold, and what secrets might still lie buried beneath the sands of the Zarafshan Valley, waiting to be rediscovered? The mystery of Sarazm is far from solved, and the answers may still be hidden, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Nestled in the misty, lush mountains of central Java, Indonesia, stands a monument that confounds both historians and archaeologists alike, a place that seems to hold secrets not just from the distant past, but perhaps from a forgotten, almost otherworldly realm. The site is called Candi Suku, and it is unlike any other temple in Southeast Asia. At first glance, it appears as though it has been dropped into the jungle by some ancient civilization whose beliefs and customs have been lost to time. The site is small, yet its intricate carvings, unusual structures, and enigmatic symbolism draw visitors from all over the world, eager to unlock the mystery that surrounds it. Kandi Suku is often referred to as a Temple of the Unknown. Located at the foot of Mount Lawu, the temple complex is thought to have been built sometime between the 15th and 16th centuries, during the reign of the Majapahit Empire. While it is part of the rich tapestry of Javanese Hindu-Buddhist temples, its design and iconography set it apart in a way that suggests a unique spiritual and cultural vision, one that may have been more esoteric or symbolic in nature. Unlike the grand and sprawling temples of Borobudur or Prambanan, Kandi Suku is modest in size, with a structure that appears intentionally simple, almost stark. But what it lacks in grandeur, it makes up for in mystery. The first thing that strikes any visitor to Kandi Suku is its unusual architecture. At the heart of the complex is a stepped pyramid, rising from the ground in stark contrast to the typical temples of the Majapahit period, which are usually ornate and elaborate in their design. The pyramid is flanked by stone reliefs and small shrines, with each element seemingly designed with great care, but without the usual symmetry found in other Javanese temples. The structure's most striking feature, however, is its symbolic carvings, which appear to blur the line between the sacred and the profane. Among the carvings are numerous depictions of animals and human figures, but there are also scenes of strange, often mysterious rites and symbols, some of which resemble the motifs seen in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, while others seem entirely out of place. One of the most notable features of the temple is the series of stone reliefs that depict naked human figures in intimate poses. These erotic carvings are especially perplexing given that the rest of the temple is steeped in religious symbolism. The juxtaposition of such imagery with more traditional representations of gods and deities has led some scholars to propose that Kandi Suku may have served as a place of fertility worship or an initiation site for secretive rites. These theories point to the prominence of symbols of life, death, and rebirth, concepts that were central to both Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, as evidence that the temple was a place where both spiritual and earthly matters were intertwined. Could it be that the temple's creators were attempting to explore a deeper understanding of the cyclical nature of existence, including human sexuality and the cycle of life? But what was the true purpose of this temple? And why does it stand out so starkly from other structures in the region? One theory is that Kandi Suku was a site of esoteric knowledge, perhaps a kind of mystery school for the elites of the Majapahit Empire, or even a place for secret religious ceremonies. Its remote location, hidden in the folds of the mountain range, suggests that it may have been designed as a retreat for those seeking solitude and enlightenment away from the prying eyes of the common people. Yet the erotic imagery and the pyramid shape, which some scholars believe could represent the phallus or fertility god, introduce another layer of mystery. Was Kandi Suku a place dedicated to the worship of fertility, not just in the agricultural sense, but in the broader cosmic sense, representing the union of male and female principles, life and death, creation and destruction? While mainstream archaeology has largely focused on Kandi Suku's place within the broader context of Javanese Hindu-Buddhist religious practices, fringe theories abound, with some suggesting that the temple's unusual features point to the influence of other, more distant civilizations. Some have proposed that the pyramid structure and its associated carvings may be evidence of a lost civilization or an ancient connection to cultures such as the Egyptians or the Mayans. These theories are speculative, of course, but they raise intriguing questions about the potential for long-distance cultural exchanges between civilizations that we often think of as isolated from one another. Could the designers of Kandi Suku have had access to knowledge and symbols from far-flung parts of the ancient world? Or were they simply working within a shared tradition of symbolic architecture? Another intriguing aspect of the temple is the presence of a stone structure known as the lingam, a phallic-shaped stone often associated with Shiva in Hinduism. Lingams are not uncommon in Hindu temples, but the prominence of this particular lingam at Kandi Suku, along with the surrounding erotic carvings, has led some to question whether the temple may have been a center for fertility rites or rituals linked to the regenerative powers of nature. Was the temple's main purpose to celebrate life, reproduction, and the cycles of nature? Or were its rituals tied to the more esoteric aspects of spiritual transformation, exploring the intersection of the divine and the carnal, life and death? One of the most enigmatic aspects of Candi Suku is the possibility that it was not just a religious temple, but a site of initiation or hidden knowledge. This theory suggests that the temple's unusual imagery and remote location may point to the existence of a secret society or a group dedicated to an ancient, esoteric form of spirituality. The temple's focus on life and death, sexuality and fertility could be seen as an attempt to balance or transcend the dualities of the human experience, embracing both the material and spiritual realms. Could it have been a place where initiates underwent trials or rites of passage, perhaps seeking enlightenment through a journey that embraced both the sacred and the profane? The truth behind Candi Suku's purpose remains elusive, despite centuries of study. While some aspects of the temple's design and symbolism can be traced to broader religious traditions, the exact role it played in the Majapahit Empire remains unclear. Was it merely a regional temple? Or was it a site for secret religious practices, an enigmatic center of spirituality that has, over time, faded into the obscurity of history? The strange mix of sacred and sensual, the isolation of the temple in the highlands, and the pyramid shape all suggest a deeper mystery that we have yet to fully uncover. As we stand at the foot of the stepped pyramid, surrounded by lush jungle and the whispers of ancient winds, it becomes clear that Candi Suku holds more questions than answers. Its symbolism speaks of a culture whose understanding of life, death, and the universe may have been far more intricate than we realize. Was this temple a place of hidden knowledge, a sacred retreat for those who sought to understand the mysteries of existence? Or was it a symbol of the delicate balance between the earthly and the divine, an attempt to capture the transient beauty of life in all its complexity? The answers remain hidden, waiting for those who are willing to dig deeper, to ask more questions, and to explore what might still be buried beneath the stones of Candi Suku. As we leave behind the ancient temples of Java and the enigmatic pyramids of Central Asia, we turn our gaze toward the deserts of the American Southwest, where a different mystery unfolds. A mystery rooted in the dry sands of Arizona, where time itself seems to stand still. Here, nestled within the vast Sonoran Desert, the Casa Grande ruins offer a tantalizing glimpse into a forgotten civilization that once flourished in the heart of the arid landscape. Casa Grande, Spanish for big house, stands as the largest structure within a prehistoric settlement, its towering walls and remnants now housed in a national monument. The ruins, which date back to around 1350 AD, are part of the ancient Hohokam culture, an enigmatic group of Native Americans who thrived in what is now the southwestern United States. This particular structure, the Casa Grande, is a 4-story, multi-roomed building made of a unique combination of adobe, wood, and a mortar made of clay and volcanic rock. Its sheer size and complexity seem out of place in this harsh desert environment. What purpose did it serve? Who built it? And why did they leave it behind? Unlike many other ancient structures found throughout the Americas, the Casa Grande is both striking and elusive. The building is crafted with a precision that suggests not just functionality, but deliberate design. Its rectangular shape, although deteriorated over time, is aligned with the cardinal directions, an indication that the builders may have had an advanced understanding of astronomy and the natural world. But even more intriguing is the observation that the Casa Grande was constructed to catch the light of the sun in specific ways during certain times of the year. The play of light, it seems, was not just incidental, it was integral to the very design of the building. Was this a temple, an observatory, or perhaps a home for powerful leaders, Could it have been a place of ritual, built to align with the changing seasons and celestial events, as we see with other ancient structures like Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids? The Hohokam people, who inhabited this region between 300 BC and 1500 AD, were known for their complex irrigation systems that transformed the desert into a fertile landscape. They created an intricate network of canals that spanned miles, allowing them to grow crops in an otherwise arid land. These early engineers were not just surviving, they were thriving. But as we look at the Casa Grande ruins, we begin to question the larger story. How could a people so skilled in engineering, so adept at harnessing the natural world, leave behind such a strange and mysterious structure? Was the Casa Grande part of a larger architectural tradition, or was it a unique creation, unlike anything else the Hohokam built? Perhaps even more perplexing is the fact that, much like many other ancient civilizations, the Hohokam eventually abandoned their thriving cities. By the time European explorers arrived in the region, the Hohokam had vanished, leaving behind only remnants of their once vibrant culture. What caused their disappearance? Did they fall victim to a prolonged drought? Or were they the targets of invasion or conflict with neighboring tribes? Or could something more mysterious have driven them from their homes? Did the very forces that once sustained them, the rivers and the land, begin to change, leaving them unable to adapt? The Casa Grande ruins, in this sense, are not just a window into the past. They are a silent witness to a civilization that has disappeared into the sands of time. The building itself, with its weathered walls and eroded corners, seems to beckon us to understand its purpose. But even as modern archaeologists and historians have made significant strides in uncovering the Hohokam's way of life, the true meaning of the Casa Grande remains a riddle. Why such a large and elaborate structure in a seemingly inhospitable environment? Why these precise astronomical alignments and intricate design features? Was this building a symbol of something much greater? A manifestation of cosmic beliefs, an observatory for tracking the stars, or perhaps a seat of power for a group of elites? Or, as some suggest, was it a ceremonial structure, one designed not for everyday use, but for special rituals meant to connect the people to the divine forces of the universe? In addition to its fascinating design, another striking element of the Casa Grande ruins is the way in which the building seems to stand in defiance of time itself. The sheer durability of the adobe construction, though it is certainly crumbling, suggests that the builders possessed an extraordinary knowledge of materials and construction methods. In a desert where buildings are often consumed by the elements within just a few decades, the Casa Grande has stood for centuries, a silent testament to the resilience of its creators. But as we marvel at the structure's endurance, we cannot ignore the question, why has so much else from this civilization disappeared? Where are the written records that might explain the builders' motivations and beliefs? Why have the details of the Hohokam people's life remained so elusive, and why does their disappearance remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of ancient America? The ruins have led some to speculate that the Casa Grande could have been a hub for social or spiritual gatherings. Perhaps it was a place where important leaders met with other tribes or where trade was conducted. Others have suggested that it was built as a kind of ceremonial space, aligning with celestial bodies to mark important dates on the calendar, much like the ancient Mayan pyramids of Central America. The alignments could point to specific days of the year, perhaps solstices or equinoxes, that had profound significance for the Hohokam people. The placement of the building in the desert, far from other large Hohokam settlements, may also indicate that it was a site of pilgrimage or a place where only a select few were allowed access. Could this have been a sanctuary for the elite, the chosen few who held knowledge of the stars and the natural world? Or was it perhaps an outpost for the early spread of knowledge across what would later become the American Southwest? The mystery of Casa Grande is made even more complicated by the fact that, like so many ancient ruins, It was not fully appreciated until it had already begun to deteriorate. Archaeologists only began to explore the site in earnest in the late 19th century, long after much of its original purpose had been lost to time. And though the building itself still stands, there is much we don't know about the cultural and spiritual beliefs that gave rise to it. As researchers continue to study the site, the question persists: was the Casa Grande simply a practical building for a desert people, or was it something more? Was it a place to honor the gods, a place where humans sought to touch the divine? Or was it an architectural marvel built to withstand time, embodying the power and wisdom of a vanished civilization? And perhaps, most intriguingly, what happened to the people who built it? What caused the collapse of the Hohokam civilization, and why was this grand structure ultimately abandoned? Was it a change in the environment, or something more profound that caused them to leave this desert city behind? As we gaze upon the Casa Grande ruins, the silence of the desert seems to hold its breath, as if waiting for us to unlock the final mysteries that lie within its ancient walls. There is no easy answer to the question of what these ruins represent, no simple explanation for the grandeur of the structure or the disappearance of its builders. But as we stand here, surrounded by the vast, open desert, we are reminded that the past is never truly gone. It simply waits for us to ask the right questions. And perhaps, in time, we will uncover the truth that lies hidden within the remnants of Casa Grande. What secrets are still buried here, waiting for us to uncover? And what will they reveal about the people who once lived in this place, and their connection to the mysterious forces of the natural world? In the heart of the Scottish Highlands, amidst the windswept moors and rolling hills, lies a site that remains shrouded in mystery, a place where ancient stones rise from the earth, their origins and purpose still largely unknown. The Balnuaran of Clava, a prehistoric burial complex, invites us to peer back into a distant past, yet offers few clear answers. The site, located just outside the town of Inverness, is composed of a series of stone circles, cairns, and passage graves, structures that have captivated archaeologists and historians for centuries. While it may seem deceptively simple at first glance, the more we explore, the more it becomes apparent that this site holds layers of complexity, intrigue, and unanswered questions. The stones themselves are weathered by time, their surfaces smoothed and rounded by centuries of wind and rain. Yet they stand resilient, like silent sentinels guarding a forgotten history. The most striking feature of the Balnuaran of Clava is its trio of cairns, large circular mounds of stone that house passage graves within their center. These graves were likely built to honor the dead, but who were the people buried here, and why was this particular site chosen for their final resting place? The answer, it seems, lies in a combination of both archaeology and speculation. The layout of the site is deliberate, almost as if the placement of each stone and cairn were guided by a greater cosmic understanding. The three cairns are arranged in a pattern that suggests a deep knowledge of the land and its celestial relationship. One cairn, in particular, stands out due to its alignment with the midwinter sunrise. As the first light of the solstice pierces the sky, it aligns perfectly with the entrance of the cairn, casting a beam of light into its darkened interior. This alignment is no accident. Ancient peoples were often meticulous in their understanding of celestial cycles, and at Balnuaran of Clava, it seems that the builders may have been no different. Was this a burial ground designed not only to honor the deceased, but to connect them with the heavens? Many believe that these cairns were not simply graves, but places of ritual significance. The connection between death and the celestial is a theme that recurs in many ancient cultures. In some cases, tombs were designed to be portals through which the deceased could pass into the afterlife, guided by the stars or the movement of the sun. In the case of the Balnuaran of Clava, Could the alignment of the cairns with the solstices suggest that the people here were looking to the skies for answers, perhaps seeking to understand their place in the cosmos, or to ensure the safe passage of their souls to another realm? The notion of death as a journey, one that could be influenced by celestial forces, is an idea that stretches across time and cultures. It's possible that the builders of Balnuaran of Clava were tapping into this universal belief, constructing a site that bridged the gap between the living and the dead. Adding to the mystery is the fact that, while the site's purpose seems to revolve around burial, it may not have been a simple burial ground. The site's distinctiveness lies in its extraordinary construction. The stones themselves were not sourced locally, but rather were transported from distant regions, suggesting a level of organization and planning that would have been beyond the typical capabilities of a small tribal group. The stones' origins are still a subject of much debate. Were they brought from a far-off quarry, or did they have some sacred significance that made them worth transporting across such distances? Some researchers have even speculated that these stones might have been imbued with meaning before they were placed in the cairns, potentially representing the energies of the earth or the ancestors. The very act of choosing these specific stones from these specific locations might have been a deliberate effort to connect the living with forces beyond the physical world. At the heart of the Balnuaran of Clava complex lies the question of its true purpose. Was this site a ceremonial center for the living, a place where rituals were performed to honor the dead? Or was it a more intimate burial ground, reserved for specific families or tribes? The stones that encircle the site are not merely decorative. They are positioned with a precision that suggests careful planning. The cairns themselves, too, are constructed in a way that speaks to more than simple burial practices. Could these mounds, perhaps, represent something larger? Were they symbolic of the cycle of life and death? Or did they serve as markers of status, showing the power and influence of the individuals buried within? The burial chambers themselves are also curious. Unlike many other passage graves found across Europe, those at Balnuaran of Clava are not large and expansive. Rather, they are relatively modest, with low ceilings and narrow entrances. This has led some researchers to suggest that the people buried here were part of an elite class, perhaps leaders or shamans, while others argue that the site's significance lies in its connection to the land, rather than the social standing of the individuals interred within. What does it say about a culture when their most sacred sites are not large and grandiose, but rather intimate and personal? In the absence of written records, the answers to these questions remain elusive. The people who built the Balnuaran of Clava left no written accounts, no texts to explain the symbolism of their site or their understanding of the universe. What remains are the stones and the alignment of the cairns, a silent testament to a people who understood something about the world that we may never fully comprehend. Were they seeking immortality, or were they concerned with understanding the deeper mysteries of life, death, and the cosmos? The apparent focus on celestial alignments at the site raises another intriguing question. Did these ancient people possess a knowledge of astronomy that was far more advanced than we might expect for their time? In the quiet of the Scottish Highlands, the mystery of Balnuaran of Clava lingers. It is a place of great significance, yet its secrets are wrapped in layers of time, erosion, and silence. The stones stand firm, the cairns still cast long shadows in the fading light, and the passage graves remain untouched by the hands of time. Could it be that this ancient site was a kind of observatory, an early attempt to understand the rhythms of the heavens? Or was it something else entirely? A place where the living and the dead were united in a shared experience of cosmic knowledge? As we contemplate the site, we are reminded that, in many ways, the past is never fully known. The stones at Balnuaran of Clava may have been placed with great care and intention, but the exact reasons for their placement remain just out of reach. The answers may lie in the heavens themselves, or perhaps in the lost rituals of a people who understood the earth and sky in ways that are no longer familiar to us. Whatever the truth may be, the mystery of Balnuaran of Clava endures, an enigmatic and ancient puzzle that still whispers from the stones, waiting for us to listen. Rising abruptly from the lush green plains of Sri Lanka's central province, Sigiriya Rock Fortress stands as a monumental testament to a civilization long past, its origins still steeped in mystery. This colossal rock formation, towering nearly 200 meters above the surrounding landscape, is not just a natural wonder, but an awe-inspiring work of human engineering and artistry. Known as the Lion's Rock, Sigiriya is an ancient citadel, built upon a granite monolith that commands an expansive view of the surrounding area, a perfect vantage point for surveillance, defense, and symbolic power. The site is an architectural marvel, with its careful construction blending seamlessly into the natural landscape. As you approach Sigiriya, the first thing that strikes you is its imposing presence. The sheer scale of the rock, once crowned by a royal palace and now home to the remnants of ancient frescoes, gardens, and water features, makes it clear that Sigiriya was no ordinary fortress. It was a carefully planned complex, one designed to control both the land and the people. But as much as we know about the visible aspects of Sigiriya, the deeper mysteries of its construction, its purpose, and the civilization that created it continue to puzzle historians and archaeologists. Sigiriya's history, as it is commonly understood, dates back to the 5th century A.D. King Qeiyafa I, a ruler of Sri Lanka, is believed to have transformed the rock into a magnificent royal residence, creating one of the most advanced fortresses of its time. However, before Qeiyafa's reign, the site was used by ascetic monks and was likely seen as a sacred location. The transformation of Sigiriya from a religious retreat into a royal stronghold suggests that it played a much larger role in the political and spiritual life of the kingdom. But why this particular rock? What was it about Sigiriya that made it the perfect location for such a monumental undertaking? The fortress is divided into several distinct levels, each with its own unique features. At the base of the rock lies a vast network of gardens, designed with an intricate hydraulic system that channels water from nearby reservoirs. These gardens, with their fountains, pools, and carefully laid out pathways, are a testament to the advanced engineering skills of the people who designed them. The concept of water in the gardens is of particular importance. Fountains, ponds, and canals were all incorporated into the design, not just for aesthetic purposes, but as a way to symbolize life-giving forces and divine protection. The fact that the builders were able to integrate water so effectively into a structure located atop a rock in the middle of a dry landscape speaks to a deep understanding of hydraulics and the natural environment. Above the gardens rises the fortress itself, accessed by a series of stone steps that wind their way up the rock face. As you ascend, you encounter a giant lion's mouth, an imposing entrance that once led into the palace area. The remains of the lion's claws still mark the pathway leading to the top, but it is the symbolism of the lion that captures attention. Sigiriya was once known as Sinhagiri, or Lion's Rock, suggesting that the lion symbol held great significance for the ancient people who constructed the fortress. Could the lion be a symbol of royal power, strength, and dominion? Or was it something more? Perhaps a connection to the divine, a representation of a god or a celestial force. The lion's head, which once stood as an imposing gateway, now serves as a silent reminder of the past. Its exact meaning, like so many aspects of Sigiriya, remains speculative. At the summit of the rock, the remnants of King Qeiyafa's palace sit like an ancient crown, overlooking the sprawling landscape below. From this vantage point, it's easy to understand why Sigiriya was chosen as a fortress. It offers unparalleled control over the surrounding territory. The palace was built with carefully placed rooms, courtyards, and defensive walls, creating a secure stronghold for the king. Yet despite the military might Sigiriya represents, it's not just a fortification. The remains of intricate frescoes that adorn the rock walls suggest that Sigiriya was also a place of beauty, luxury, and refinement. These vibrant paintings, depicting celestial maidens or apsaras, bring an unexpected touch of grace to what might otherwise be viewed as a purely defensive structure. But as much as we know about the visible aspects of Sigiriya, there are aspects of the site that remain mysterious. Perhaps the most intriguing question is, why was Sigiriya abandoned after only a brief period of use? Following King Qeiyafa's death in 495 AD, Sigiriya gradually fell into neglect, and within a century it was repurposed as a Buddhist monastery. The royal palace was left behind, its purpose forgotten. What caused the rapid decline of such a majestic fortress? Was it due to political upheaval, or was there a deeper, perhaps spiritual reason for its abandonment? The idea that a site as carefully designed and strategically placed as Sigiriya could fall into ruin so quickly raises more questions than it answers. The reasons behind Sigiriya's abandonment remain unclear, but some scholars suggest that there may be a deeper, more spiritual significance behind the site's use. Could the rock have held a special power, one that was perhaps tied to celestial or cosmic forces? The alignment of the palace and its water systems, as well as the celestial motifs found in the frescoes, hint at an intricate connection between the natural world, the heavens, and the people who inhabited the fortress. Was Sigiriya a sacred site, built not just for defense, but as a gateway between the earthly and the divine? Could it have been abandoned because its purpose was fulfilled, or because the very forces that governed the site's creation had shifted? As we investigate Sigiriya, we are faced with many unanswered questions. The fortress, with its sophisticated design, advanced engineering, and symbolic significance, represents a high point of ancient Sri Lankan civilization. Yet its ultimate purpose, the reason for its construction, and the cause of its abandonment remain elusive. Was it truly a symbol of power and dominance, as many have suggested, or was there something more enigmatic at work? A spiritual center, a place of divine alignment, a beacon to the heavens? The legacy of Sigiriya lies not just in its ruins, but in the mysteries that continue to surround it. How could a site of such beauty, such innovation, and such symbolism have been abandoned so suddenly? What deeper purpose did it serve that has been lost to time? And, most intriguingly, what might still be hidden within the rock, waiting to reveal its secrets to those who are willing to dig deeper into its ancient history? As we stand at the foot of Sigiriya, looking up at its towering silhouette against the sky, we are reminded that some mysteries are never fully unraveled. There is much more to this ancient fortress than meets the eye. Its stone walls and faded frescoes continue to whisper secrets of a time long past. And perhaps, in time, we will uncover more, piecing together the lost history of Sigiriya and its place in the larger story of human civilization. But for now, the questions remain, echoing across the centuries, waiting for the answers that may never fully come. As we continue our journey across ancient wonders, we find ourselves in the heart of Peru, beneath the scorching sun and the endless skies of the northern desert. Here, in the arid expanses of the Lambayeque Valley, lies a site that, for centuries, has remained a mystery shrouded in silence and sand: the Tucume Pyramids. These ancient ruins, often overlooked in favor of the more famous Incan sites like Machu Picchu, offer their own unique puzzle, one that continues to challenge our understanding of the civilizations that once thrived in this region. The Tucume complex is a sprawling site, covering over 500 acres of desert landscape. At its core, it features 26 pyramids, some towering over 40 feet high, constructed from mud brick and adobe. These pyramids, with their weathered faces and jagged edges, are far more than just architectural feats. They stand as silent witnesses to a once great civilization, the Sikan culture, that flourished in the area between 750 and 1375 AD. The scale of Tukume is remarkable, yet the sheer number of pyramids scattered across the site suggests that it was more than just a city. Was it a ceremonial center, a grand political hub, or something far more complex, an astronomical observatory or a sacred site with connections to the divine? The pyramids themselves are not like those found in Egypt or Mesoamerica. While their shapes are similar, imposing, angular, and steep, there are key differences that set them apart. The majority of Tukume's pyramids were built from adobe bricks, a material far more susceptible to erosion than stone. Yet, despite this vulnerability, the site has remained partially preserved, offering a fascinating glimpse into the past. What drove the builders to choose such a fragile material for such monumental structures? Could the mud bricks have had symbolic significance, perhaps tying the pyramids to the earth itself? The true scale of Tukume is only fully appreciated when you stand in the midst of the site. The vastness of the landscape, with its undulating desert and distant mountains, seems to stretch on forever. The pyramids, though scattered, create a sense of deliberate order, as if they were part of a greater plan, a plan that we are only beginning to understand. What were these pyramids used for? Were they temples dedicated to powerful gods, or were they symbolic markers of the power of the Sikan rulers? Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a sophisticated culture at Tukume, one that was adept at agriculture, metallurgy, and the arts. Yet, despite this wealth of knowledge, the precise purpose of the pyramids remains elusive. The largest of the pyramids, known as the Pyramid of Tukume or Huaca Larga, dominates the landscape. Stretching more than 700 feet in length, it is the largest pyramid in the complex and one of the most striking features of the site. Yet, despite its monumental size, Huaca Larga has yielded few answers about the people who built it. Some researchers suggest that it may have been a center for religious ceremonies, as evidence of sacrifices and ritual objects have been discovered nearby. Others believe it was a political center, a symbol of the power and authority of the Sikan elite. Still, the question remains: what purpose did such a grand structure truly serve? Was it a place of worship, a symbol of political might, or something entirely different? A site that held cosmic or astrological significance? The alignment of the pyramids at Tukume offers another intriguing clue. Some of the pyramids seem to be aligned with specific celestial events, such as the rising and setting of the sun on certain days of the year. This alignment suggests that the builders of Tukume possessed a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Were the pyramids constructed with the intent of tracking the movements of the stars, sun, and moon? Did they serve as observatories, designed to align with celestial phenomena that marked important dates in the Sikan calendar? Or was the connection to the heavens more symbolic, tied to the belief that the rulers of Tukume were the intermediaries between the earth and the divine? One of the most compelling aspects of the Tukum site is the number of artifacts that have been uncovered during excavations: ritual objects, pottery, and even human remains. Among the most striking discoveries are the remains of large ceremonial feasts, which suggest that the site was a center of both political and religious activity. Evidence of human sacrifices, although not widespread, has been found, adding another layer of mystery to the site. Were these sacrifices part of a larger religious ritual designed to appease the gods and ensure the prosperity of the Sikan people? Or were they a means of demonstrating power, an assertion of control over both the land and the people? The mystery of Tukume is deepened by the way in which it was abandoned. Much like other ancient civilizations, the Sikan people mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind their magnificent structures, but no clear record of what caused their downfall. Was the decline of Tukume the result of environmental factors, such as drought or shifting river courses, Or was it the result of internal conflict or invasion? Some have even speculated that the arrival of new cultures or external forces played a role in the fall of the Sican civilization, but without written records, these theories remain speculative at best. Further complicating the mystery is the fact that the Tukume pyramids were not immediately recognized for their significance. For centuries, the site was largely ignored, its pyramids lost beneath the shifting sands of the desert. It wasn't until the late 20th century that archaeologists began to uncover the site's true scale and importance. What led to this long period of neglect? Were the pyramids hidden on purpose, or had the knowledge of their existence simply been lost to time? Even today, the full scope of Tukume's history is still being unraveled. Every excavation unearths new secrets, new artifacts, new clues, and new questions. Yet, for all that has been discovered, there are still aspects of the site that remain mysterious. Some believe that there are still undiscovered tombs and chambers beneath the desert sands, waiting to reveal their secrets. Could there be more treasures hidden within the pyramids, or perhaps even evidence of a more complex, ancient culture that we have yet to fully comprehend? As we stand at the foot of the Tukume pyramids, gazing up at their ancient faces, we are reminded of the vastness of time and the mysteries that still lie beneath the surface of our world. The Sican civilization, with all its advancements in metallurgy, agriculture, and art, remains one of the great unsolved enigmas of pre-Columbian America. What was the true purpose of the Tukume pyramids? Were they temples, observatories, or symbols of power? And why did the civilization that built them disappear, leaving so many questions behind? Perhaps the answers lie in the future, as new technologies and excavation techniques allow us to peer deeper into the past. But for now, Tukume remains a place of wonder, a landscape dotted with ancient pyramids that continue to whisper their secrets to those willing to listen. What still lies hidden beneath the sands of the Lambayeque Valley, waiting to be uncovered? And what truths will we learn about the people who once called this place home? The mysteries of Tukume, it seems, are far from over. Nestled in the rolling hills of central Alabama, just outside the modern-day town of Tuscaloosa, lies one of North America's most fascinating and enigmatic archaeological sites, Moundville Earthworks. Spread over a vast expanse of land, this ancient ceremonial complex is both awe-inspiring in scale and shrouded in mystery. Today, the site remains a testament to a long-lost culture, one that flourished long before European explorers set foot on the continent. Yet, for all its grandeur and the centuries of study it has undergone, Moundville still holds many secrets, secrets that continue to elude even the most dedicated archaeologists and historians. At first glance, the site may appear to be nothing more than a collection of mounds dotting the landscape. But as you step closer, the true complexity of Moundville begins to unfold. The earthworks consist of 29 massive platform mounds arranged around a central plaza. The mounds vary in size, with the largest standing more than 30 feet high. They are aligned with remarkable precision, suggesting a highly organized and purposeful design. What could have driven the builders of Moundville to create such an extensive and intricate structure? Was it a symbol of power and authority, or was there a deeper, more spiritual significance behind the earthworks? The most imposing feature of Moundville is the central plaza, an open space that likely served as a hub for ceremonies and social gatherings. Surrounding the plaza are the mounds, each one believed to have served a specific function. Some of the mounds are thought to have been the residences of elite rulers or important figures, while others may have held religious or ceremonial significance. But why this particular arrangement? Why such an emphasis on mounds and earthworks? What did the people of Moundville hope to communicate with their design? One theory posits that the layout of Moundville was designed to reflect the cosmos, with the mounds symbolizing the heavens and the earth. The site's central plaza may have represented the earthly realm, a space where humans could connect with the divine. The mounds themselves, positioned with such deliberate care, could have been seen as links between the physical world and the spiritual one. This interpretation draws on the idea that the ancient cultures of the Americas, particularly those of the Mississippian tradition, had a deep and sophisticated understanding of the natural world, as well as a belief system that placed great importance on the relationship between earth and sky. Could Moundville have served as a ceremonial center dedicated to astronomical events, with the mounds themselves acting as markers for celestial phenomena? Archaeological excavations at Moundville have uncovered a wealth of artifacts, pottery, tools, jewelry, and intricate carved stones that speak to the cultural richness of the people who once inhabited the site. The objects found at Moundville suggest that its residents were not only skilled artisans and traders, but also deeply spiritual. Many of the artifacts bear symbolic motifs, including representations of animals, deities, and cosmological symbols. These artifacts hint at a society that was highly organized, with a complex belief system that likely governed daily life. But despite the abundance of material culture, very little is known about the people who built Moundville. Who were they, and what were their motivations for creating such an elaborate site? What makes the mystery of Moundville even more compelling is the fact that, despite its size and complexity, the site was abandoned around the 16th century, long before European settlers arrived in the area. What caused this sudden disappearance? Did a shift in political or religious practices lead to the decline of the Moundville civilization? Or were environmental factors, such as changes in the river system or climate, responsible for the site's eventual abandonment? Some researchers suggest that internal conflict or warfare may have played a role, while others point to the possibility of disease or resource depletion as contributing factors. But without written records, the reasons for Moundville's abandonment remain speculative at best. One of the most perplexing aspects of the Moundville site is the fact that it was not built as a single cohesive settlement. Instead, it appears to have been part of a larger network of Mississippian-era centers scattered across the southeastern United States. These centers, all connected by trade and religious ties, share similar architectural features and cultural practices. The Mississippian people were known for their large earthen mounds, their complex social hierarchies, and their elaborate religious ceremonies. But what brought these communities together? What was the relationship between Moundville and the other Mississippian centers? Were they united under a single political entity, or were they independent polities, each with its own distinct culture and beliefs? The connection between Moundville and other Mississippian centers is a topic of ongoing debate. Some scholars suggest that Moundville was a central hub of the Mississippian world, a place where leaders from various communities gathered to exchange goods, share knowledge, and perform rituals. Others argue that Moundville may have been one of many independent centers, each with its own local rulers and customs. Still, others propose that the site's layout and organization point to a sophisticated system of governance that was coordinated across a vast network of settlements. Could Moundville have served as a political capital, a seat of power for a larger Mississippian state? Or was it primarily a religious center, with the mounds serving as markers for sacred rituals rather than symbols of political control? Despite the numerous questions surrounding the Moundville site, one thing is certain. The people who built these earthworks were sophisticated and highly skilled. The sheer scale of the construction, the precision of the mound placement, and the cultural artifacts found at the site all point to a civilization that was capable of remarkable achievements. Yet, for all that has been uncovered, much of Moundville's story remains hidden. What motivated the builders of the mounds? Was the site a symbol of political power, a religious center, or both? And why was it abandoned so abruptly, leaving behind only the earthworks as a testament to its once great civilization? The answers to these questions may lie buried beneath the soil, waiting for the next generation of archaeologists to uncover them. But for now, Moundville remains one of the most intriguing and enigmatic archaeological sites in North America. As the earth continues to shift and the sands of time slowly erode the mounds, we are left to wonder, what other secrets might still be hidden within the earthworks of Moundville, waiting to be uncovered by those who are willing to dig deeper into the past? As we leave behind the known world and journey deep into the heart of Colombia's Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta mountain range, we encounter a place that, for centuries, was lost to history. Hidden in the dense jungle, obscured by thick vegetation and the relentless passage of time, lies one of the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring archaeological sites in the Americas, Ciudad Perdida, or the Lost City. Though the towering pyramids and terraces of the site were once home to the Tairona people, the Ciudad Perdida remains largely unexplored, offering a glimpse into a civilization that vanished long before the first European explorers ever arrived on the continent. While the Lost City has garnered much attention over the years, it is the lower terraces of the site, those that have yet to yield their full secrets, that remain one of its greatest mysteries. In some ways, these lower terraces represent the very heart of Ciudad Perdida, both geographically and metaphorically. They are the foundation of the city itself, the platform upon which its sprawling complex of buildings, roads, and ceremonial spaces was built. But what were these terraces used for? What role did they play in the life of the Tairona people? And how did they contribute to the construction of a civilization that thrived for centuries in relative isolation before fading into history? The lower terraces of Ciudad Perdida are vast, and their sheer scale is overwhelming. Made of stone and earth, these terraces are carefully arranged across the mountainside, each one serving a specific purpose in the overall design of the city. Some of the terraces are thought to have been used for agriculture, providing a space for the cultivation of crops such as maize and beans. Others likely served as platforms for ceremonial or social activities. While these terraces may appear simple on the surface, closer inspection reveals the intricacy of their construction. The stonework is finely crafted, and the alignment of the terraces with the surrounding landscape suggests that the builders of Ciudad Perdida had a deep understanding of the natural world. Could these terraces have had a symbolic significance, tied to the landscape, the stars, or the cycles of the earth itself? As we gaze upon these terraced layers, it is easy to see how the Tairona people were able to adapt to the challenges posed by the steep and rugged terrain. The terraces would have allowed them to maximize the use of the limited arable land available, creating a system of agriculture that could support a thriving city. But how much of the knowledge and technology behind these terraces was indigenous, and how much might have been influenced by other civilizations? The Tairona, after all, were not isolated. They were part of a vast network of trade routes that spanned much of South America. Could the design of the terraces have been influenced by contact with other cultures, either through trade or migration? Or was this a completely unique achievement, a testament to the ingenuity of the Tairona civilization? While the agricultural and practical uses of the terraces are well understood, the more speculative theories about their function are what make them truly intriguing. Some researchers have suggested that the lower terraces were used for ritualistic purposes, perhaps as spaces for religious ceremonies, where the Tairona people gathered to pay homage to their gods and ancestors. The alignment of the terraces with specific natural features, such as nearby mountains and rivers, may hint at their connection to the spiritual and cosmological beliefs of the Tairona. Was the arrangement of the terraces meant to mirror the stars above, creating a symbolic link between the heavens and the earth? Could the terraces have served as a means of communing with the divine, a pathway for the soul to ascend or descend through the layers of the landscape? Others have posited that the terraces may have been part of a grander architectural plan, a space designed to reflect the power and prestige of the ruling elite. The city of Ciudad Perdida was not just an agricultural hub. It was a center of political and social influence. The terraces could have been used to display the wealth and status of the city's leaders, with ceremonies and public gatherings taking place on the raised platforms. Did the terraces serve as a means of reinforcing the authority of the ruling class, creating a sense of grandeur and power that would have impressed both the local population and visitors alike? The construction of these terraces also raises the question of the labor force involved in their creation. How were such monumental structures built, and what resources were required to complete them? It is believed that the Tairona people employed an advanced system of engineering, using a combination of stone, wood, and other materials to craft the terraces. The level of precision involved in their construction is staggering, with some terraces still standing firm despite centuries of erosion and the ravages of time. How did the Tairona manage to build such a sophisticated and durable structure in such a remote and inhospitable location? Were they using tools and techniques that were lost to history, or is there a deeper connection to other ancient cultures that we have yet to fully understand? Despite extensive excavation efforts, many questions remain unanswered about the lower terraces of Ciudad Perdida. The site has only been partially uncovered, and much of it remains hidden beneath the dense jungle canopy. What lies beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? Are there additional terraces, chambers, or hidden structures still buried, untouched by modern hands? It is possible that there are secrets within Ciudad Perdida that will forever remain lost to time, but the search for answers continues, fueled by the desire to uncover the true history of this forgotten civilization. Some theorists believe that the city's abandonment in the 16th century was due to a combination of environmental, social, and political factors. The arrival of European explorers and the diseases they brought with them may have played a significant role in the decline of the Tairona civilization, but the abandonment of Ciudad Perdida is not fully understood. The lower terraces, once the lifeblood of the city, now stand as silent witnesses to the fall of a civilization that left behind no written records, only the remains of its architectural feats. What drove the Tairona people to leave this grand city behind? Was it an invasion, an internal conflict, or simply the effects of environmental degradation? We may never know for certain, but the mysteries surrounding the terraces only add to the allure of Ciudad Perdida. As researchers continue to uncover more of the site, one thing is clear. Ciudad Perdida and its lower terraces represent an extraordinary achievement in ancient architecture and urban planning. The legacy of the Tairona people, though largely forgotten by history, continues to intrigue and inspire. What was their true purpose, and how did they manage to create such an impressive city in the midst of the jungle? The answers may remain hidden for now, but as excavation efforts intensify, we may one day unlock the secrets of Ciudad Perdida, and with it, the lost history of the Tairona civilization. In the end, Ciudad Perdida is more than just a site of archaeological interest. It is a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the people who once called it home. Its lower terraces, still mysterious and largely unexplored, hold the key to understanding the true nature of this ancient city. What further revelations await those who dare to venture into the jungle? As the story of Ciudad Perdida unfolds, we are reminded that the past is never truly lost. It is simply waiting to be rediscovered, one layer at a time. As we journey through the vast and arid landscapes of southern Egypt, our path leads us to one of the most enigmatic archaeological sites in the world, the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines. Nestled between the Nile River and the sprawling desert, this collection of rock-cut shrines and ancient quarries has long been a site of fascination for archaeologists and historians alike. But despite decades of research, its true purpose remains shrouded in mystery. With its towering cliffs, intricate carvings, and haunting beauty, Gebel el-Silsila invites us to question: who were the people who built these shrines? And why did they choose this remote and inhospitable place to leave their mark on history? The Gebel el-Silsila site is located near the modern town of Kom, about 60 miles north of Aswan, and its name, meaning mountain chain, aptly describes the towering rock formations that dominate the landscape. As we approach the site, the scale of the shrines becomes apparent. Carved into the cliffs and rugged terrain, these ancient structures stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that flourished thousands of years ago. The site is not just a single location, but a sprawling complex with over a dozen shrines and countless inscriptions etched into the rock faces. Some of the most striking features of Gebel el-Silsila are the large, open-air sanctuaries, which are thought to have been places of worship or pilgrimage. But who were the worshippers, and which gods did they honor here in such an isolated setting? The shrines at Gebel el-Silsila are remarkable in their design. Unlike many other ancient Egyptian sites, these shrines are not monumental temples built for the masses. Instead, they are small, intimate spaces, carved into the rock with a sense of purpose that feels both personal and spiritual. The intricate carvings on the walls depict scenes of deities, offerings, and royal figures, but there are also mysterious symbols and images that have yet to be fully deciphered. The most notable of these are the inscriptions that mark the presence of several pharaohs, particularly from the New Kingdom period. Pharaohs such as Thutmose III, Amenhotep II, and Hatshepsut are known to have left their mark on the site. But why would such powerful rulers choose to dedicate shrines in such a remote area? At first glance, the location of these shrines may seem puzzling. Why would rulers and religious leaders commission such elaborate rock shrines in a place so far removed from Egypt's political centers? The answer may lie in the fact that Gebel el-Silsila was not only a site of religious significance, but also a critical point of access to the Nile's resources. The area surrounding Gebel el-Silsila was home to a vast network of quarries, where the ancient Egyptians extracted sandstone for their grand temples, monuments, and statues. It is believed that these quarries were active for over 2,000 years, from the Old Kingdom through the Greco-Roman period. The rock here was prized for its fine quality, making it an essential material for the creation of the monuments that would later define ancient Egyptian architecture. Could it be that the shrines at Gebel el-Silsila were built as a form of tribute or offering to the gods, seeking their favor for the workers and their labor? Some scholars have suggested that the shrines were intended to serve as places of divine protection and blessing for those who toiled in the quarries. The workers who extracted the sandstone were often exposed to harsh conditions, including dangerous working environments and the risk of injury or death. It is conceivable that the shrines were meant to protect these laborers, ensuring their safety and well-being. But this theory raises further questions. If these shrines were truly dedicated to the workers, why would they be carved with images of powerful rulers and deities? Was it simply a way to invoke divine favor, or was there a deeper, more symbolic connection between the shrines and the larger political structure of ancient Egypt? While the idea of these shrines serving as divine protection for quarry workers is compelling, there are other theories that suggest a more complex and spiritual purpose. Some researchers have proposed that the shrines were part of a larger network of sacred spaces that marked important celestial or geographical alignments. The position of the shrines, carved into the natural rock formations, could have had a symbolic connection to the movement of the stars or the sun. In fact, the layout of some of the shrines appears to mirror the alignment of key celestial bodies. Could these shrines have been places for astronomical observation or rituals tied to the movement of the heavens? The ancient Egyptians were known for their deep understanding of astronomy and their ability to align monumental structures with celestial events. Could the Gebel el-Silsila shrines have served as astronomical observatories, marking the passage of time or the arrival of important events, such as solstices or eclipses? Another intriguing aspect of the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines is the presence of a mysterious rock-cut gateway that seems to have been part of a ceremonial processional route. This gateway, which stands at the base of a cliff, is adorned with a series of inscriptions that are difficult to interpret. The symbolism of the gateway has led some scholars to suggest that it may have been a physical and spiritual threshold, marking the boundary between the earthly realm and the divine. Did this gateway serve as a passage for pilgrims or priests on their journey to the shrines, or was it meant to symbolize the transition from the mundane world to the sacred? The idea of a gateway as a liminal space, marking a transition from one realm to another, is a theme that appears throughout ancient Egyptian religious beliefs. Was this particular gateway part of a larger ritualistic tradition where worshippers were initiated into the mysteries of the divine? While the exact function of the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines remains uncertain, the inscriptions and carvings found at the site offer tantalizing clues about its significance. The presence of royal figures and gods carved into the rock suggests that the site was deeply tied to the political and religious power of ancient Egypt. Yet, the intimate scale and isolated location of the shrines point to a more personal and spiritual connection to the divine. Could these shrines have been places for royal families to conduct private rituals, seeking divine favor for their reigns? Or were they intended as public spaces for worship, where both the common people and the elite could come together to honor the gods? Despite extensive excavation efforts, much of the mystery surrounding the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines remains unresolved. Some of the inscriptions and symbols found at the site have yet to be fully deciphered, leaving scholars to speculate about their meaning. The site is also in a state of partial preservation, with much of the rock art and architecture eroded by centuries of natural forces. This, combined with the remote location of the site, means that new discoveries are slow and often difficult to make. But what secrets lie hidden within the rock walls of Gebel el-Silsila? What knowledge and understanding of the ancient Egyptians' spiritual and astronomical beliefs have yet to be uncovered? The rock shrines stand as silent witnesses to a long-forgotten past, offering glimpses into a civilization that mastered both the earthly and celestial realms. As the sands of time continue to shift, and the site is slowly revealed to modern eyes, we are left to wonder, will we ever truly understand the full significance of Gebel el-Silsila, or will its mysteries remain forever etched in stone? One thing is certain: the Gebel el-Silsila rock shrines, with their timeless beauty and spiritual presence, continue to captivate those who seek answers from the past. And as we stand before the rock faces, we are reminded that even in the most desolate places, the echoes of ancient civilizations still resonate, waiting to be heard. As we turn our gaze toward the highlands of southern Peru, nestled between the rugged Andean peaks, a complex and enigmatic civilization comes into focus, one that has puzzled archaeologists for decades. This civilization, known as the Wari, or Huari, once controlled a vast empire that stretched across much of the central Andes, exerting influence over a diverse range of cultures. Today, the remains of the Wari's extraordinary urban planning and architecture stand in stark contrast to the natural beauty surrounding them. One of the most striking sights that offer us a window into this ancient world is the Wari temples at Pikalakta. Pikalakta, meaning City of Fleas in Quechua, is an archaeological site situated in the Cusco region of Peru, about 20 miles southeast of the modern city of Cusco. As we approach the site, the first thing that strikes you is the vastness of the ruins. The Wari built this city on a scale that would have been impressive even by modern standards, with high stone walls, complex ceremonial plazas, and sprawling courtyards, all constructed with a level of precision and craftsmanship that suggests a deep understanding of engineering and urban planning. The temple structures that lie scattered across the site seem to echo the reverence the Wari had for their gods and the forces of nature. Unlike the more well-known Inca cities that followed, Pikalakta stands as a testament to the ingenuity of the Wari people, who flourished from around 600 to 1100 AD, long before the Inca Empire rose to prominence. What makes this site even more intriguing is the sheer mystery that surrounds it. While the Inca civilization is renowned for its advanced architecture and engineering, the Wari were just as skilled, and yet their legacy remains largely overshadowed. The questions that emerge from Pikalakta are not just about the city's architecture, but about the broader role the Wari played in the Andes. What brought the Wari to build such an extensive city? And why did they abandon it so suddenly? At Pikalakta, the Wari constructed what is believed to be a ceremonial center, and the temples scattered throughout the site provide evidence of this. The temples themselves are modest compared to those of the Inca, but the craftsmanship is no less impressive. Large, rectangular stone platforms rise from the ground, some adorned with intricate carvings. These platforms were likely used for rituals and offerings to the gods, perhaps to mark the passage of seasons or celestial events. But what were the religious beliefs that underpinned these ceremonies? Could the Wari have worshipped a pantheon of gods similar to the Inca, or was their religion something entirely different, something that has since been lost to time? The most striking feature of the Wari temples at Pikalakta is the complex arrangement of the structures. The temples are arranged in patterns that suggest a deliberate alignment with the natural environment. Some scholars have speculated that these alignments may have been designed to honor celestial bodies, alignments similar to those seen in other ancient cultures, such as the Mayans, who also constructed their temples in relation to astronomical events. Could Pikalakta have been an astronomical observatory, a place where the Wari monitored the movements of the stars and planets to guide their agricultural practices or religious ceremonies? However, while much of the site is consistent with other ancient Andean cities, there are several features that defy easy explanation. For instance, the fact that the city's layout includes so many small, isolated enclosures has led some researchers to wonder if Pikalakta wasn't just a ceremonial center, but also a sort of laboratory for the Wari's urban and religious experimentation. In addition to the many unanswered questions about the menhir's function and significance, there is the mystery of the carvings found on some of the stones at Lochmariaquer. These intricate designs, spirals, geometric shapes, and other motifs suggest that the builders of the site may have been engaged in a complex system of symbols or language. The carvings could have had religious or astronomical significance, or they could have been used to communicate ideas that were important to the society of the time. Some researchers believe that these symbols were part of a proto-writing system, perhaps even a form of early communication that predated the development of written language. If this is true, the carvings at Lochmariaquer might represent one of the earliest known attempts at symbolic representation in human history. However, no clear connection has been made between these carvings and the written languages that later emerged in other ancient cultures. Were these symbols truly a form of writing, or were they simply decorative motifs with no deeper meaning? Could they have been part of a religious ritual, marking important events or honoring the gods? The nature of these symbols remains one of the most intriguing aspects of Lochmariaquer, but as of now, there is no consensus on their meaning. As we stand before the weathered stones of the Grand Menhir base, the questions continue to swirl. How could a culture with so little material wealth and technology create such monumental works of art and engineering? What did these people believe, and how did their understanding of the universe shape the way they interacted with the natural world? The mysteries of Lochmariaquer are far from resolved, and the answers that may lie buried beneath the earth or hidden within the stones themselves remain elusive. For now, the Grand Menhir base stands as a testament to the ingenuity, mystery, and ambition of the people who built it. It calls us to look deeper into the past, to seek answers that may never be fully understood. What secrets do these stones hold, and what truths remain hidden from view? As time moves on and the stones continue to erode, one thing is certain: the mystery of Lochmariaquer will endure, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to ask the right questions. After exploring the monumental stone circles at Lochmariaquer, we move southward to a less-known yet equally captivating site that has long intrigued archaeologists, historians, and mystery enthusiasts alike: the Abuli Fortress, nestled on the rugged hills of Georgia. The fortress, a sprawling complex of walls, towers, and enigmatic structures, rises high above the surrounding landscape, offering an almost panoramic view of the ancient region. The mere scale and preservation of the site challenge conventional understandings of its construction and purpose. Yet, despite being a subject of considerable archaeological interest, the true story of Abuli remains shrouded in ambiguity. As we approach Abuli, the landscape transforms around us. The fortress is perched atop a high hill, surrounded by steep cliffs, which offer a natural defense. The fortifications themselves are built from massive stones, some weighing several tons, interwoven into what can only be described as an architectural marvel of its time. Its strategic location overlooking the surrounding valleys suggests it was a place of both military importance and cultural significance. But beyond its impressive defensive structure, questions loom about the fortress's origins, the identity of those who built it, and its ultimate purpose. The Abuli fortress is believed to have been constructed sometime around the early medieval period, likely in the 9th or 10th century A.D. The sheer size of the fortifications and the complexity of the design suggest it was no ordinary settlement, but a fortress that stood at the heart of an ancient kingdom or power. Its walls stretch across an area of several acres, and while much of the site has been eroded over time, the remains still hold many clues about its original grandeur. Carved stone steps lead to different levels, while the ruins of towers and walls suggest an organized effort to defend against invaders. Yet, despite these clear signs of military prowess, there is little information about the fortress's builders. Who were they, and what prompted them to construct such an imposing structure in the middle of the mountains? The lack of written records and the enigmatic nature of the fortress make it difficult to piece together the historical context surrounding its creation. Some scholars suggest that Eboli could have been a fortified stronghold for the Georgian kings of the era, possibly serving as a military outpost or royal residence. Others propose that it could have been a religious site, built to honor deities or to protect sacred rituals. But none of these theories have been definitively proven, leaving the fortress's true purpose open to interpretation. One of the most striking features of Eboli is the advanced engineering seen in the construction of its walls. Unlike other medieval fortresses, the stones of Eboli are carefully cut and fitted together, indicating a level of craftsmanship that was ahead of its time. The builders used no mortar to bind the stones together, yet the structure has stood the test of time, remaining remarkably stable even centuries later. This precision craftsmanship raises the question, how did the builders manage such an advanced level of stonework without the aid of modern tools and machinery? Could they have possessed knowledge of techniques long forgotten by later generations? Or perhaps there is an unknown influence at play, one that allowed them to achieve such a feat? There is also an air of mystery surrounding the fortress's apparent abandonment. While it is clear that the structure was once a thriving hub, possibly housing a population and serving as a center of power, evidence suggests that it was eventually abandoned, its purpose lost to time. Was this the result of an external attack or a natural disaster, or did the residents simply leave of their own accord? Some archaeologists believe that the fortress may have been abandoned after a shift in political power in the region, or perhaps it fell into disuse due to changing social dynamics. But the lack of conclusive evidence leaves room for speculation, and one cannot help but wonder if there were other, more mysterious forces at play in its decline. In addition to its strategic location and advanced architecture, Eboli is also known for its enigmatic carvings and symbols scattered throughout the site. Many of the stones feature intricate designs, geometric patterns, spirals, and symbols that appear to be part of a language or code. While some researchers believe that these carvings could have religious or astronomical significance, others suggest they may represent a form of early writing, a lost language that could unlock more secrets about the fortress and its creators. Could these symbols hold a key to understanding the purpose of Eboli and its builders? Are they part of a forgotten script, an ancient method of communication that has yet to be deciphered? Beyond the carvings, there is a strange series of underground chambers within the fortress, partially hidden from view and difficult to access. These subterranean rooms are carved into the rock, their purpose and function still unclear. Could these chambers have been used for storage, or were they perhaps places of ritual or meditation? The fact that they remain largely untouched by time, hidden beneath the surface, only adds to the mystique surrounding the site. Some have even speculated that the underground chambers could hold untold treasures or artifacts, relics from a lost civilization that once called Eboli home. Yet, without proper excavation, these theories remain speculative at best. As intriguing as these features are, the most compelling aspect of Eboli Fortress may be its relationship to the wider Georgian landscape. The fortress is located in a region with a rich history of ancient settlements, many of which were centers of power and culture. Yet, despite its imposing presence, Eboli is not the only such fortress in the region. Similar structures can be found throughout the mountains, some built in a similar architectural style, others offering their own unique features. Could these fortresses have been part of a broader network of strategic outposts, connected through trade, religion, or military alliances? Were they part of a forgotten empire, a kingdom whose influence stretched across the land and whose legacy has been erased from the history books? Even more tantalizing is the idea that Eboli Fortress may have been part of a much older civilization than previously believed. Could this site be a remnant of an ancient culture that predated the medieval period? Some researchers have suggested that the fortress was built on top of an even older settlement, perhaps one that dates back to the Bronze Age or even earlier. Could Abuli be the last trace of a forgotten people whose influence on the region was erased by time and conquest? If this is true, what else might be hidden beneath the surface of the site, waiting to be discovered? As we stand before the crumbling walls of Abuli Fortress, it is impossible not to be struck by the unanswered questions that linger in the air. Who were the people who built this incredible structure, and what did they hope to achieve? What purpose did the enigmatic carvings and underground chambers serve? And most importantly, what remains hidden within the depths of this ancient fortress, waiting to be uncovered? These questions may never be fully answered, but the mystery of Abuli continues to captivate the imagination of those who dare to explore it. As we leave the fortress behind, we are reminded that history is often a puzzle, one with many pieces scattered across time, each waiting to be found and understood. And as we peer into the past, we must ask ourselves, how much more remains hidden, waiting to be discovered beneath the stones of Abuli Fortress?